This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
Mr. Mick.
Wiley.
That was Skullcrack's version, song, theme of the Coffee and Hardcore theme song version.
It was. It's our new theme song. It's like 3 shows in, right? You don't get used to it, though. It's so amazing.
It's so good. Speaking of Skullcrack, they're going to be playing the 35th hardcore anniversary of Sheer Terror and Slapshot in October.
I know. And they're coming to my neck of the woods, and they're coming to your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah. And my wife gave me the okay to buy a ticket. I think
What?
I'm going to try to. Yeah.
You sound so depressed about it.
Well, still kind of weird because all the different COVID stuff going on, but I'm going to play it by ear. I think I'm going to buy a ticket. If it doesn't work out, I'll sell it or something.
Right. I get that. We might go to either Cincy or Cleveland for Lindsay's birthday. Lindsay's birthday's in October, and that might be our.
Which one's closest to you?
They're both equal amount of distance. I'm trying to see which venue is nicer.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, let's bust in here. I got
right.
myself a bubbly water.
Woo.
Drinking on the podcast.
I'm drinking coffee from my Dolly Parton mug.
There you go. What's up? This is the Coffee and Hardcore podcast with myself, Wiley Willis from Chicago, Illinois, with my trusty co-host
Mick Cox from Parkersburg, West Virginia.
That's right. He's not lying. Welcome to the Coffee and Hardcore podcast. This is season 2, episode 7. 7?
7.
Right?
It's 7.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Titled Coffee and Hardcore Presents Tuning in 8-Bit. Boom. So, how many episodes have we done so far, Mick?
I don't know, but you know what? This is the crazy thing.
How many did we have in the first season?
I don't remember.
Okay.
5, I think 5. And so if there was 5 in the last season and we're on 7, so that's 12 episodes. And it was around this time last year. Was it last year? Yeah, last year that we started pushing the Coffee and Hardcore podcast. We had we had a couple. I'm trying to think of who we had doing some intros for us, some advertisement for us. We had Eddie from Skullcrack.
Yeah.
He did one for us. And then we also had the singer for Bad Brains. He did one for us. Yeah, he did one for us. We had the
Mighty Jim Chafin.
We did. That's right. He did one for us. And then you did that awesome we put it on Facebook and Instagram and all those places with why I'm totally blanking out on who these people are. Oh, Ian McKay.
Oh.
Remember he's talking about coffee. We did that one too.
And just to clarify, I'm looking right now, we had 4 episodes in the first season.
Okay. So we're at number 11.
Sure. My wife said, I asked her, I was like, any critiques on the podcast? She's like, you say boom a lot.
Yes.
So let's say Let's you and I on three say nice boom for my wife.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Boom.
Boom!
So this week, this episode, we've got a great show. We've got the band Tuning, who gave us a little sneak peek at their new album, and we chat with them about it. And well, I chat with them about it.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't available.
No, but it was okay. It worked out, and
Yeah.
and they were very responsive.
Hashtag let Mick talk more.
But I think it went well. The interview does not have the Wiley pizzazz on it.
Oh, come on.
You could tell.
I'm sure it's just fine.
No, you could tell, you missed some zingers.
Zingers. Hold on, my beautiful wife is whispering something. What's up? Oh, she got me stuff for floats.
Uh-oh.
You got me the sugarless, the hipster sugarless root beer.
Nice.
And the hipster vegan ice cream. Yeah, I'll have a float on the darn podcast. I feel like I need to grow a mustache for this float.
Hey, because you brought up floats and you're getting ready to have a root beer float. I had on the 4th of July, I had the best float that I've ever had before in my life. I made it myself.
Yeah.
We were getting ready to go out on the deck and watch the fireworks, which we didn't even have to watch the city fireworks because my entire neighborhood was lit up with fireworks. It was insane. My kids were going nuts. But I made
Do you have a dog?
No, I don't.
Dogs
I have a
hate
cat,
fireworks.
but the dog was freaking out, and I have a lot of friends that live close to us, and their dogs were freaking out and having major anxiety attacks. So it was cool and not cool at the same time. Like I was like, I'm not excited about the fact that there's fireworks this close to my house, but two, it was kind of freaking cool that it was right there, right there. But I made a ginger beer float, and it was amazing. It was this ginger beer that I got from Aldi, and it was just Breyer's vanilla ice cream and a little bit of chocolate syrup. Mix it up, amazing.
Mind explosion.
Yes, and it was
earballs blown.
Yes, it was insane. So yeah, so you got to start making some ginger beer floats. They're delicious.
Hey, so I went up to the Upper Peninsula, the UPA, if you will, for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
I visited some family. I sent you some pictures just now to your social media.
Hold on, I gotta check it out. Where's there? Oh, here.
So I saw all this fun stuff while I was up there. Trump country, if you will. Miss them yet? Trump 2024. Look at you see that?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Thank you, my beautiful wife, for my wonderful float. Look at this.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh yeah, using the Zevia. The Zevia is good stuff.
Eating my hipster mustache float.
Wow.
Oh, this is good.
Those are some amazing pictures.
Check this picture out. I saw I saw a mama deer and a baby deer.
Nice.
Oh no, I dropped the float on my crotch of my pants. Like seriously.
Nice.
Crotch float pants. It was crazy though. So we went up north and we brought Nan because it was kind of a last minute thing. Nan's our dog, our bearded Holly. And she hates fireworks. She freaks out when she sees. I'm like eating this thing. For her fireworks. No, she hates fireworks, so she freaks out. So we tried taking her out 4 different times. She wouldn't go. Fireworks all night. Even in the UP, fireworks. Like we thought we were in the middle of nowhere. There's like wild turkeys running through the yard. We're like, there's gonna be no fireworks. Nope, can't escape them.
No,
folks. So Nan's not going to the bathroom at all. So I ended up taking her out at 3:45 in the morning. And my grandma now, let me set this picture for you. Her house is in a hill. So you can mow the top of her roof.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It's grass
Okay.
and the chimney comes out of the hill.
Okay.
So from the back, it looks like there's a random chimney just sticking out of the ground. But then from the front, it looks like a house, right? And so anyways, it's pitch black. It's 3:40 something in the morning. I let Nan out to go to the bathroom because the fireworks finally stopped. And she's finally peeing outside. And all of a sudden, I look straight ahead to me. And there's this black figure, like animal creature looking figure staring at us.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what is this? So let me set it up even better. So there's the door, then the yard, and then there's their driveway. And this thing was like right next to their driveway. Okay. So it's fairly close.
Right.
Like not, maybe like 10 large steps away.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know what is this thing? And Nan moves and all of a sudden it turns its head. And I'm like, let's not figure out what this is. Let's go inside. So I'm like, let's go inside. Anyways.
So you don't know what it was?
No. I'm not going to mess around.
That could have been a Wolverine. You were in Michigan, right?
Oh, Michigan Wolverines.
It could have been a Wolverine.
No, it was probably the size of Nan.
Oh, well.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So maybe some sort of cat.
Yeah.
Like a bobcat or something, or
big dog.
Maybe a wolf.
Coyote.
Probably more like a coyote.
You have coyotes up there?
I think they most definitely do. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe I should stop talking about that and get back to this. I just thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. That's crazy.
But anyways, thanks for talking with Tuning and heading that up for me. That was awesome.
No, it went well, and those guys are some cool guys to chat with. So it was a good convo.
Cool. And we also review some delicious coffee.
Yeah, we do.
You're doing some too, right?
Yes.
That's right. I'm doing I don't remember what I'm doing. What am I doing? I'm doing Ruby coffee. Yeah. And you'll provide all the links to check out like you always do, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And I'm gonna do the coffee that I had at GSM Outfitters in Tennessee. The coffee shop that was in there hiking outdoors shop that was there in Sevierville, Tennessee.
Sevierville.
Yeah, it was good coffee. So I'm going to review it.
Cool. Yeah. We also have my buddy and ex-bandmate, Zach Birdier, on to talk about what the future holds for him and the new 2-Minute Minor Goodbye Zach 8-Bit Remixes, which was kind of your idea.
Wait, man, listen. Those those tracks are awesome. And two, the chat with him was good. And it's cool that you guys leave on good terms. You've got to give him a proper send-off and to whatever's next for Zach. So it's pretty sweet. We talk about the 8-bit remixes and all that jazz, and then we talk to him. So it's cool.
Indeed, it is. It's sad though to lose Zach as our 2-Minute Minor drummer, and he also did like the album mixing, producing. And Jeff, our guitar players, wanted to mix one of our records for a while, so he actually talked me into letting him doing it. So I'm gonna let him mix the newest 2-Minute Minor record and see how it goes, and see if he can prove himself as an almighty mixer. But I don't know. Should we get into the show? You got anything else to add?
Yeah, well, before we jump in, let's just remind everybody that your real name is Glenn.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh yeah.
Because Zach calls you Glenn quite a few times in the little talk there. So we probably should let people know that.
That's right. Disclaimer. I'm named after my grandpa Glenn on my mom's side. My great grandpa's name was Wiley on my dad's side, and I always dug it. And as a kid, I always wanted to be called Wiley, and it kind of just became like my musical name. No one really cares. Let's start the show, bro.
All right, let's do it, Wiley Glenn.
Boom! Yeah. Coffee review.
Woo!
With
Fresh
Nick and
pots!
myself. Fresh pots. Well, all right, let's bust into it.
All right.
My wife got me a coffee subscription for my birthday. I kind of talked to you about it before.
Yeah.
But one of the coffees that I ended up picking was Ruby Colorful Coffees. And oh my goodness, it was so good. So I've bought, I think, 2 other bags since. She actually bought me, I'm going to be doing this coffee called Tomorrow Coffee,
Ooh.
which is a seasonal coffee. But she bought me a coffee called, from the same coffee company, called Creamery.
Yeah.
I say that with a question mark because I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But I like the one that she got, the Creamery, but not as much as this Tomorrow Coffee from Ruby Coffee.
Ooh.
So it's a medium roast. It's called Tomorrow. It's the seasonal project, winter/spring of 2021.
Okay.
You should definitely put it. I don't know if they're still offering it.
Okay.
But they're still offering other kinds if
Right.
they're not offering this one. It has hints of red apple, caramel, dried cherry, and fudge brownie for the win.
Oh.
For the big W. And not Bush. The coffee is from Nelsonville, Wisconsin.
Oh.
When I opened the bag to smell this coffee, I knew it was going to be something special. It gave off that super fresh coffee smell. And I actually smelled hints of caramel. I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but I could smell it.
Wow.
I
Nice.
could. I promise. Brewing it gives off an even better smell, filling the entire kitchen in the morning. And it's very warm and welcoming coffee fumes, if you will, Mr. Mick.
Nice.
The first sip had me hooked. It feels like the notes of caramel and cherry are fist fighting to see who's the most dominant flavor in the best way possible. It's a caramel and cherry fight all the way down your throat. At the end, it seems like they both decided to become friends and work together for a great aftertaste. Like, what's up, cherry? What's up, caramel? Let's do this thing. Seriously, it's a great cup of coffee, from opening the bag to smelling it, brewing the coffee, from the first to the last sip. I rate this, listen to this, I rate this 6 cups of coffee out of 5.
Oh.
Boom.
Wow.
Does that make sense? It doesn't.
So that means it was really good then.
Dude, I put this, I don't want to bub Jacob from Oak and Crow out, but I would say it's better.
Oh.
Better. Sorry, Jacob.
I just heard
But
tears from the Finger Lakes.
Tears from the Finger Lakes. Why aren't we calling that episode Tears from the Finger Lakes? I have to be honest. I like it. I like it better. But I love that. Hey, there's a spider on my ceiling. But I love that Jacob gives to the community and does a lot. And I'll still be buying Oak. I mean, you got to have different flavors of coffee.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
Jacob even sent me a message because I posted that on that I was listening to American War Machine and drinking that coffee.
Yeah.
And Jacob from Oak and Crow said one of the owners of Ruby Roasters was one of the drummers in the old Christian band the Halo Friendlies.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what he said. At least.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
So I love the coffee. I think it's great. I recommend it. I also recommend going to Oak and Crow's website and getting the Coffee and Hardcore Suicide Prevention.
Yes.
Coffee. I'm trying to save myself here.
Awesome.
Let's hear what you got.
Hear what I got. All right, so I'm going to review the coffee that I got when I was on vacation. Okay, so I got to preface the coffee with the story. Okay, so my wife, family, and I are with with my wife's family. We're hanging out in Tennessee. We got a cabin out in the middle of nowhere. We're in Sevierville, Tennessee, which is right outside of Pigeon Forge, and leaving to go somewhere. And we're desperate for coffee. Like, we want some good coffee. And so we drive by this place, and it's actually a outfitters store. It's like for camping and hiking and that kind of gear, but it also says cafe. So it's like GSM outfitters and coffee cafe. And I'm like, at least we could go in there and try it. So I'm thinking, like, this place isn't going to have any good coffee. It's going to taste burnt. It's going to be worse than Starbucks, and Starbucks is pretty bad. Go in there and it smells awesome. All right. So there's all this camping gear. And then back in the back, there's this little coffee, like, hangout.
That's pretty
spot,
cool.
and it smells amazing. And I'm like, all right. And so we walk over there, and there's this one dude and this, like, makeshift kind of like coffee bar. And we start chatting, and he's like, what would you like? And we're like, well, what do you suggest? And so he talks about like a frappe, which they make their own stuff for it. And because who they used to get their mix from, that place burnt down. It was just a mom and pop kind of place. It burnt down and was never able to get stuff from them again. So they invented their own. And he says, I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but it's really good. So Lindsay got, I can't quite remember what she got, but she got one of their frappes. So it was like a frozen thing, right? But I wanted like a latte or something. So I tried the lavender vanilla latte. Now I know it's
interesting
flavor coffee, and you probably are like, I can't have that.
Well, that's all right. It's not about me.
But so I tried the lavender vanilla latte. I did it because here in town at the coffee shop that I work for, they have a lavender type coffee, and it's all right. But I just wanted to try something because this guy looked like he legit knew what he was doing. So he starts mixing our drinks, and it didn't take too long. Just one guy, so maybe a little bit longer than normal. We get our drinks, and told him thank you. Walked out, didn't try it yet. Sat down in the car, and she tried her frappe, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing!" And then I tried my coffee, and I was like, "Holy cow!"
Did you have to go back in and tell him?
Well, no, because well, there's more to the story, but but no, it was delicious. Like, it was amazing, and you could taste the lavender and the vanilla. It wasn't overwhelming, and then the coffee itself, which they use a company called Superior Coffee, which is from Marie, Michigan, and roasting up there, and then they ship it out, of course, but that's where they order their coffee from, and they just use their signature blend. But listen, it was a good mix. Like, you can tell by the ingredients, like, if the coffee's good or not. And so, once again, this place is like most of the places that we review our coffee. It's original origin. It's, they're not ripping off the communities where they're they're getting these beans from. So it's another honest, good company. So the coffee's from there, but man, these guys did a great job. So later on that week, we went back for more coffee because it was so delicious, and we brought other people with us to get it. And I got to actually tell the guy, I was like, listen, this stuff is amazing. Like, I wasn't expecting to come out here in the middle of nowhere and find good coffee. And so we started chatting, then eventually start talking about the podcast, and then come to find out he's an old school punk head and had been to a ton of shows at CBGB's, because he's originally from New York. And so totally got to talk about hardcore and punk, and he was into Minor Threat and Operation Ivy and all that stuff. So we sat and chatted for a little while, and it was good times. But the coffee is delicious. So and I've read some reviews and read some other things where other folks have said the same thing. They weren't expecting this place to be out there in the middle of nowhere. So Yeah, if you're hiking on the Appalachian Trail out in Tennessee, and
Do it.
or you're in Pigeon Forge because you want to see Dolly Parton and you want some good coffee, head out to Sevierville and stop by the GSM Outfitters and Coffee Shop because it's delicious stuff.
Did you send him a link to the podcast?
Not yet. I told him that at some point before the end of the summer, I would review that lavender vanilla latte because it was that delicious.
Well, sooner than later.
Yeah. So
Wah, wah, wah. Do they have a link where I could look into getting the? Well, it's flavored. Do they have any coffee that's not flavored?
well, they had all kinds of stuff, but if you were just going to straight up order the beans that they use, it would be the Superior coffee, which I will.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I will put a link for that. But yeah, it was good stuff. You don't really, I'm like, seriously, you don't like, you go into towns and places and you don't expect to get coffee like that. And I was just blown away. It was amazing.
I know, that is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, I can see your Coffee and Hardcore plaque back there.
Oh yeah, there it is.
And you can see mine kind of by the Leeway poster and the Toxic Avenger poster back there. You see it?
I see it.
Let's give a shout out to Mark Sylvester for hooking us up with those.
Yeah. The great almighty fireman himself.
We got to make him a Coffee and Hardcore appreciation trophy.
We should something. Yeah.
Or send him a Dundee Award or something.
I have a Dundee Award.
Do you?
I got it for Christmas from my wife.
What does it say?
It's the
World's Best Farter.
It says, "Did you hear that goose award?"
So it's about farting, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Knew it. I think we talked about it before. That's all.
Yeah. That's what I tell my kids.
Barking spiders. I got one on the side.
I haven't used barking spiders yet. That would be a new one.
Cool.
Excellent.
What's up, Coffee and Hardcore? Let's welcome Zach Birdier to the Coffee and Hardcore podcast. Zach wears many hats. Zach was the drummer of October Bird of Death before we called it quits in 2020. Zach also was the drummer and the weird idea master in 2 Minute Minor. He's also one of the sound people at Medieval Times and does an electronic project called Captive Portal. He also worked with a label called Schnauz Records, doing mostly producer work. He also helped myself and Dave Emerson, aka Dave Emo, with Zap Records before Zap ended in 2020. And he also had a tape company at one point called DBD Tapes. That was a lot. Welcome, Zach.
Hello, thank you for having me. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
Are you sure you got everything?
I don't know. But Zach, tell our listeners what DBD Tape stood for and how you got the name.
Okay, so
I don't even think Nick knows.
the whole tape thing started. Oh, well, this will be a treat for you, Mick. So the whole DBD tapes started when October and 2 Minute Minor were getting ready to put out their first releases. We had like CDs and digital ready to go, and we're like, well, let's try some tapes. And we were all figuring out a ways to get tapes made. And I just randomly remember, oh, I inherited a duplicator a long time ago. Let me just pull it out of my closet and see if it works. And I got tapes made for October and 2 Minute Minor. And then I decided, well, this was fun. Let me do tapes for other bands and artists. And then like, okay, I need to have a name. And from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, Glenn, but I was on a phone call with you and Mike when you were at Bellyacres, and we were just like spitting around names, and somebody said you should call it Douchebag Distros. And then I'm like, like, that's a funny, weird name. And then I made like a text logo as a joke and sent it to them. And then it like said DBD in big letters and then like Douchebag Distros under it. And like, let's just call it DBD Tapes and not actually given, it's just like 3 random letters. And if people ask, I'm like, I don't know, it's just DBD.
Yeah, we came up with like other different names too. I forgot what they were, but
Yeah, there was like a whole list, but I don't remember any of them.
That's hilarious.
yeah, Uncle Mike from what band? Anti-World System.
Anti-World System.
Yeah, he came up with that.
Mm-hmm.
And with his New York accent, he's like, "What douchebag distro?" I'm like,
That's
hell yeah.
awesome.
If only we got it recorded and had an ad. Douchebag distro.
So Captive Portal.
What do you think of that, Mick?
That's pretty crazy. I would have never put that together. So that's awesome.
Especially from Zach.
Oh yeah.
Let's
Sorry,
get
go
on to
ahead.
this. Let's get on to this. Captive Portal released an album called Toy Sounds Volume 1, and it is by far my favorite thing that you have done with Captive Portal. And before we get into it, let's drop that first title track, Mick. It's called You Can Use. Drop it now.
Boom.
All right. Welcome back. That was all Zach, and he used toy keyboard majiggies. I even bought him. I bought him a retro toy keyboard majiggy. Remember?
Yes, you did, and I am planning on making more Toy Sounds volumes in the future. I just haven't done it yet.
Uh-oh.
Give us a story on how Captive Portal. Give us the story on how Captive Portal started. Thank you, and the future of that project. Like, so also let me know like why you did Toy Sounds Volume 1 because it's so awesome.
So to give a little backstory, I've been making music by myself for as long as I can remember, and the first year that I recall ever making anything, which was probably very bad, was 2002 when I was a little kid, had like programs on my computer and just messing about, had lots of random aliases, nothing was good. And then this like around the end of 2012, I'm like, I put a lot of stuff out that I did not like in various aliases. Let me start completely over with a set of songs that I really like. And then in 2013, I came out with my first EP as Captive Portal. So where I got the name Captive Portal, it's actually a networking term, which basically a Captive Portal is a web page that a user of a public access network has to view and interact with before access is granted. So basically, like, you walk into a Denny's and you want to use their free Wi-Fi, you log onto their Wi-Fi, and then there's like a web page that pops up that you have to accept terms and conditions. That web page is a Captive Portal. So how did I come up with that? Where I went to school was Greenville College. It's Greenville University now, and they had lots of different Wi-Fi's across the campus. Funny enough, at the time, all the Wi-Fi names were Bible characters. So you had like Isaiah and Moses. Moses was the infamous one where it would take like about 10 to 20 minutes to load a 3-minute YouTube video.
Oh,
So on top of that insult to injury, like, everyone complained about the Wi-Fi at the time. And
Whiffy letting us
also,
down.
oh yeah, and not to mention, there was a Captive Portal on these Greenville Wi-Fi's, and the thing that made those infamous is that it logged you out after like 10 or 20 minutes of internet usage. So if you're just watching a video or a movie and it like paused, you had to refresh and then relog in via the Captive Portal with your Greenville info. And so everyone like thought of Captive Portal as this like completely negative thing that everyone hated so much. And I, like with DVD tapes, I had like a list of names that just nothing worked, and then just randomly Captive Portal came into my head, like, let me make this name more of a funny positive spin on what everyone hated at this college. So that is how the name Captive Portal came to be. And I looked online everywhere. No one was using it as an artist name. So I got all my socials saved right away before I even released anything. So yeah, that's how Captive
I
Portal
like
started.
that. It's a cool name.
Yeah, I think it's cool too. And sometimes I forget it's like this internet nerdy techie term that not a lot of people know about too. So yeah, that's
I
the
didn't
name there.
I didn't know that,
So
or at
the
least I didn't put
future,
two and two together that was how it was. So
yeah, and the thing is, the only reason why we knew Captive Portal was the term at Greenville is because it said Captive Portal on the webpage. A lot of these places like restaurants and airports and stuff don't really say, oh, you've entered a Captive Portal, or it's like, oh, you're on the Delta Airlines Wi-Fi or something. So
right.
that name is just like a term, but it's not actually like visually shown. So for the future Captive Portal right now, the only thing I have coming out is a remix on July 14th for this year's Net Label Day. It's part of a remix album for this artist, and I apologize if I get it wrong. It's Tamora Hideari. Yeah, it's some name I cannot pronounce. And the song is called Owl Stretching Time, and it's a
How
very
many
speedy,
tracks?
glitchy.
Just got one
It's just a
track?
single. Yeah, it's a single remix track that's going to be a part of a remix compilation coming
Okay.
out on July 14th for Net Label Day. And the remix will also be made available as a single track on my Bandcamp page.
So
Awesome.
your Bandcamp page is pretty impressive too. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Mick, but if you think the 2-Minute Minor one has a lot of stuff on it, you should see the Captive Portal Bandcamp.
Oh no, I saw it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I checked it out today, so
We should put a link to that to his Bandcamp too.
we'll do it.
So I got something that sort of ties you and Mick together, right? Actually, we have two things on the podcast that tie you and Mick together, but this first one is you did a one-off project called DIY Together.
Mhm.
DIY Together is a hardcore punk vocals meets almost like pop punk or like punk rock. Yeah, would you agree to that?
Yeah, something like that. It's like the hardcore punk vocals, like you said, but like an older 90s like pop punk aesthetic instrumentals, basically.
Okay, but you had, how many tracks were there? 6? 5 or 6 tracks?
I think there were 6 or 7. I can't remember.
And you had a different guest vocalist in the punk hardcore scene community for each song, right?
Yes, every single song has a different vocalist.
And one of the tracks has the ex-Zayo and ex-To Live His Son singer, Eric Reeder.
Watch out.
Called Not Just Alive. Mick, we should drop it. Let's drop Not Just Alive from the Captive Portal Bandcamp, which is a project he did called DIY Together with Eric Reeder right now. Boom!
Brightness and color, the day's going further, the gray leaves fading, we're not just alive, we're living. It's gone, all gone, it's gone, all gone, it's gone, all gone, it's gone, all gone. We're standing up this time, leaving what's been behind. Shame is lost, soul, we're free, now it's like the sun rising. We're standing up this time, leaving what's been behind. Shame is lost, soul, we're free, now it's like the sun rising.
While it was dark, while alone, light came, light shone.
Can you see? Can you be? We are free, alive, living. We're standing up this time, leaving what's been behind. Shame is lost, soul, we're free, now it's like the sun rising. We're standing up this time, leaving what's been behind. Shame is lost, soul, we're free, now it's like the sun rising. We're standing up this time, leaving what's been behind. Shame is lost, soul, we're free, now it's like the sun rising. It's like sun rising. It's like sun rising. It's like sun rising. It's like sun rising.
Cool. That was an awesome song. Give us the inspiration
Thank
for
you.
DIY Together.
Well, this is a long story, and actually, out of all the releases I've done so far, this one took the longest. So remember when I said my first Captive Portal release came out in 2013? That's when this project started. So I liked a lot of pop punk releases from the early 90s, especially in the more tooth and nail realm. I had a lot of that stuff, like the MXPX and the Cooties and all that stuff. And so I was always inspired to make something like that. So around summer 2013, I demoed and written and demoed the songs, all the songs then. All the music was basically finished in demo form. And I originally sang on those songs. Thank goodness those didn't come out because my singing and lyrics are absolutely horrible. No one's ever going to hear those, I promise. And I just didn't know what to do with it because I really didn't want my vocals on it. The whole one of the goals was that I would do absolutely everything on it, but because the vocals didn't work out, I didn't know what to do with it there. So I just had all the music, and I didn't really do anything for a few years till around 2017. I remembered that I had that project but never finished it. So I was Glenn will remember some of these ideas, but I didn't know what to do to add to the vocal side of things, and I like to do weird stuff. So I originally was thinking, well, let me add like robotic vocoder vocals on top of it. That didn't work. And then the other
I told
idea,
him that would get
which,
old after like 30 seconds.
oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
but
Zach,
this is,
no one's gonna want to hear that.
but this one's even worse. So
I know
for
what you're gonna say.
a short time, I was working with the Falcons at Medieval Times, and I always have this microphone with me just to record random sounds. At the time, I recorded lots of Falcon squawking sounds, and I'm like, let me make a Falcon punk record. So it would be these pop punk instrumentals with like glitchy pitched to death Falcon squawks. And that would be going on for 20 minutes. And Glenn's like, this is the stupidest idea you've ever had.
No, I just thought it
And
was
so-
stupid. I thought it was stupid for a whole album. Like, I was like, if you want to do that if you want to make 30-second tracks with robots and Falcons, fine. But no one's gonna listen to a robot Falcon. And now people are gonna write us and be like, I would.
Right.
Hey, DIY Volume 2 Falcon Punk record. Here we go.
Oh, gosh.
And so then I believe Glenn gave me the idea is to try to get some guest vocals on it. And then it turned into just like the scene that we were in and the people that we were talking to. It turned out to be mostly yelling hardcore punk vocals. So we had that.
That's all we know are
mashup
those
of
yelly folks.
Yep. And so over the course of like a year or two, I got 7 different people from different parts of the world to write and record vocals for all those songs.
Yeah, we
And
got
then-
remember we got Justin from the Festival Shout to
Yes.
record at the festival.
Yes, in one of the tent sections in audio feed, we were just outside. I think it was like less than an hour from the Festival Shout set, and so I had him come record vocals because it was like the only time we could get him to do it, and so we just did one take because the voice was tired from a long set, and so luckily it all worked out nice. And unfortunately, I didn't keep any of the birds chirping in the background of the vocal take, so.
So
yeah.
was there, because we did it in the barn section, right? Like that barn.
Yeah,
remember,
like
there's hay.
the barns were, yeah. Yeah, I think it was like probably like the in-between stuff that I cut out. But the thing is, while we got this done, I got super busy with all the band stuff, so I put this project aside, and it didn't get done till 2019, a couple years later. And fun fact, the drums on these songs were recorded at the exact same time as A Goon's Best Friend sessions.
The first
So
2 Minute Minor
it's the
record.
same drum kit. Yep, the same drum kit, the same sounds and everything. So if you go back and listen and compare the two, you'd be like, oh, these kind of sound familiar. So yep,
Yeah.
those are recorded at the same time.
Zach had me working the keyboard. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, just push these 2 buttons. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we were using Pro Tools. It's like just press 3 on the number pad and press record and then press the space bar to stop. Excellent engineering job.
Thank you. And then I shot some video for you for your video. Remember the one with on the wall with all the pictures or whatever?
Oh yeah. So actually at the same time, there were like 2 or 3 songs from a Captive Portal album that were recorded during those sessions as well. So I just like, okay, I got drums, I got these songs that I want to record drums on. Let me just do them all in like a day or 2. And that's what happened. And also at the old practice space, one of the songs that was a 12-minute song, mind you, I decided to make a lyric video, like a one-take lyric video. So I printed hundreds of pages of lyrics and words and text and pinned it all over the practice space, multiple floors. And Glenn
and we
helped
took
me put
videos
that
of it.
together. So
And this was at Brian Gray's studio.
yes.
It's like this like this old like rundown falling apart building that you could go on the top of the roof on it, like in the west side, like in a really bad part of town.
Oh my god.
And the building probably should have been condemned. I think it did get condemned later. He had to move.
Yeah.
But his studio space was super sweet. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
Like you to the building and you're like, what is this, a squat? And it's like you could see holes in the roof and stuff, and then you go into his actual studio room and you're like, this is so weird because this room is super rad, full of tons of gear and cool equipment. And then you walk
Amazing,
outside.
expensive gear. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then you walk outside
You're
and
like,
it's like falling apart, crumbling building.
yeah.
It's kind of funny. We made
Mhm.
we did the first Octobird record there.
Yeah, the first Octobird record and the first 2 Minute Minor record was both done there.
Yep, first 2 Minute Minor. You did your Captive Portal or your DIY together there, drums at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yes, I
anything
think I did
else?
some guitar work on the DIY one. No, I think that's it. Because Soda Tax, the single, was done at Brian's second studio.
That's right.
Yeah.
We didn't record any records at that second studio though, right?
No, he didn't.
No. Cool. Well, Zach, you're also the drummer for October of Death, as I said in the intro and just now.
Yes.
Tell the story, since we're talking about Brian Gray. Tell the story on how all that connects and how you became the drummer.
Yeah, so this one little instance is what is made the past so many years to be what it is.
6?
Something
7?
like that. I don't even know
7.
anymore. I can't count.
I think it's 7
So-
with October.
Yeah, so October was the first band that I joined for during all this time. So I was just scrolling through Facebook one day, just nonchalantly. I was joining a lot of Facebook groups at the time, like the 90s Christian music groups and the Tooth and Nail groups and the Face Down groups and all that stuff. And then I just saw a random ad on the old school Tooth and Nail page. It's like, new old school punk band looking for a drummer. These are the influences. These are the members that were in past bands. And one of them said The Blamed. And I'm like, I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna audition. And I sent a demo, and the rest is history.
Yeah, 'cause
Basically.
you were in that. What it's funny, he was in like this band in college that was kind of like
Yeah.
a pop punk
Yeah.
band.
It was, yep, a pop punk band called the Sweet Sweet Revenge. MXPX was our biggest influence, so that all ties into.
Well, and the thing is about this record, the funny thing is the reason I chose him to be the drummer was because of this, or chose him to have to come to the tryout. It's because I listened to that whole record, and there's a song on there. It's like a shorter song. But what is it called? Ninjas versus Pirates, or Pirates versus Ninjas?
It's called Pirates versus Ninjas.
Pirates versus
Oh,
Ninjas.
man.
It's like Pirates versus Ninjas versus Ninjas versus Pirates. Pirates versus Ninjas versus Ninjas versus Pirates. I was like, this is hilarious.
You should play it.
Is it on? Can we find it anywhere?
Yeah, it's free to download on Bandcamp.
Will you send it
Sweet
to me?
Sweet Revenge.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I will.
Okay, you're gonna send it to me. Okay, let's drop it. Let's drop Pirates versus Pirates. Calling up the Coast Guard. Let's drop it now. Boom. All right. That song is so energetic. But the reason I was like, this guy has a sense of humor. I love that. And you can tell his drumming is really good on this track.
Mhm.
Like the other songs he didn't really play like super fast and aggressive or anything on them. So I couldn't really tell.
Mhm.
But like after listening to this track, I'm like, okay, this guy's good.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take himself too serious.
Oh yeah, the Sweet Sweet Revenge was all mostly about fun and being ridiculous. So I actually just found the CD It's called
Oh,
Fountain of
gosh.
Youth in Asia. It's our kid photos.
Where are you?
And so here, I'm the clown suit guy on the right here.
Of course.
And so here, and just to add to the humor, here were some of the song titles. I Never Liked Your Hair, Hipster Hallway, Buy a Shirt, My High School Troubles Last Tuesday Before Lunch, The Methodist Way, and there's more. But yeah, we were just all with fun and joking and stuff. And this was like the only punk thing that I've recorded at the time. So hopefully this was good to appeal to the old school punkers, the people that
Yeah,
blamed.
no.
So
It was cool because we originally before Zach came in, we had Max Davis, and he was the drummer of the Scurvies. You know that band, right, Mick?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Brian Gray was originally in the band from the Blamed. It was me, Darren, right? Was in it at the time, yeah.
yeah, it was you, Darren, Kurt, and Brian at the time.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then you joined, and then like months after Zach joins, Brian steps down. He's like, I got too much going on, and he was going through a bunch of family stuff and a bunch of personal stuff, so he stepped down. But then he was like, oh, I'm gonna have like my really good friend Sid from Head Noise come in, and we're like, oh, I've known Sid as long as I've known Brian. I've known them for like 20 years, but I never been in a band with Sid before. So that like Head Noise, I was a huge fan of Head Noise when I was a kid. And I actually got saved at Head Noise Cornerstone 97, 96, 97, I don't remember. 96, 97?
96, 97. One of
But,
those.
Was
Yeah.
I even in elementary school at the time?
I don't know, but that was like kind of huge. And you know who Head Noise was, right, Zach? At the
Yeah,
time,
I did know Head Noise, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing is that ties Mr. Zach and Mick here together is Zach, you helped Mick get the original DAT tapes digitized. I said that right.
Yes.
For the Zayo release.
I think so, yeah.
Talk on that.
So, can't remember how long ago it was, but I feel it was like
there it is.
2018 or something
There it
like
is.
that. Oh, I only got the CD. I'm lame. So around 2018 or 2019, something like that, I got added to a group chat that Mick was heading, where he found these DAT tapes and he was trying to find someone somewhere.
How did you guys get hooked up though? Who added you to that group chat?
It might have been
I
Brian.
think maybe you.
No, it wasn't me.
Was it
It
Brian
was either
Gray?
you or Dave. Dave from Zach
That's-
was also
that's who it
on
was.
that
Probably.
chat.
Probably
Yeah.
did, yeah.
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 So
Because I didn't know about it till you guys told me a little later.
yeah. So I got added to that chat, and at the time, yeah, I think it was 2018. At the time, no one had access to a DAT machine or knew anyone, so it kind of just got brushed to the side, and it was just in the back of my head. It's like, these got to be put out sometime. But then like a year went by, we all forgot about it, and then my boss Edgar and I at Medieval Times in the sound booth, there's like 20-30 years of history in this booth of machines, gear, old show recordings, old soundtracks, all this
That's
stuff.
cool.
And so yeah, so we always go through things. And then we pulled out this road case that had 2 DAT machines that looked in decent condition still. And so we like to test out the gear that we find and have and see what we need to keep or sell or use for parts. And so the DAT machines were working. And then I'm like, holy
Explain
crap.
what a DAT machine is.
Okay, so a DAT is, I think it stands for digital audio tape. So basically think of the cassette tape. Instead of storing analog music, it stores data files. So basically think of like a CD or hard drive, but in tape form. So that's basically what it was.
So that was the only way that you could get these Zayo songs, is if you had one of these machines, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
there's
You couldn't
gonna be
put it
no
in
other
like your
way.
tape deck or anything. anything. No.
Okay.
Yeah, so I contacted Mick and I said, "Hey, look what me and my boss found. Let's try to get these digitally transferred and see if we can get it all to work." So he sent it over to me. The box that he sent it in, instead of like this nice pristine bubble wrap, it was just filled with like grocery bags. That's how we packed the box in.
All I had.
I'll never forget. I opened it up. I'm like, there's these like, it was so funny. So then, sorry, I had to add that. So we got them all digitally transferred just fine for the most part, sent the files back to him. And then like a year or so later, Preface exists in the wild.
That's awesome. And
Well,
you sent us. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say is the crazy thing is that when somehow I started having conversations with Matt Traxler, it was right after he had did the not this past All Else Failed album, but the one before it. He had put it out on 12-inch, and I just asked him. I said, "Do you still have the DAT tapes from back in the day?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll send them to you," which completely shocked me. He sent them to me, and how he sent them to me was just in a mailer bag with nothing around it. So he sent it to me, and I sat on those for whenever before that All Else Failed, not the first time, but this the time before the double LP got put out. I sat on those for a while.
It says 2018.
Yeah.
The CD says 2018. So yeah, 2018.
So I started asking questions like how, and originally the thought was I just wanted them for the original guys in the band. And, and then the conversation started happening with Matt, like, "Hey, let's put these out." And so then I was like, "Well, how are we going to do that? Nobody has a DAT." And then that's when you came in and sent those to me. And then I sent them to Jeff Gretz from Zao because we didn't know what was going to happen. Like, I know Dave was like wanting to do something with it.
Oh yeah,
and
that's how we got involved in it.
Yeah. And then I just messaged Jeff and I said, "Hey, I have these, check them out." And it wasn't like a month later. He was like, "Yeah, we should do something with this." And so that's how Matt got involved. And then, now here we are.
Yeah, because I remember you sent these to me to listen to.
Yeah.
And Dave from Zap really wanted to put it out like really bad.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Yeah, I'm cool with it." But then you sent it to like the Zao drummer, who's like kind of leads the band now with all that stuff, right?
Yeah, Jeff.
With all the promotional stuff and whatever. And he really wanted to do it. So, and actually Dave was pretty happy because he's like, "You know what? I don't care if we put it out just as long as it gets seen and heard, you know?"
Yeah, I remember Dave being like, if there's some way it can get out on a bigger scale and get on vinyl and all that, he was like, "Let's do it. Definitely go for it." So yeah, that was pretty cool. So
well, that's super cool because it came out on record.
It did. It came out on vinyl.
Yes, it did.
And then there's the little known Zao side project from back in the day. Monroe finally saw the light of day, which I'm really happy about. I still know there's more stuff out there somewhere. I just don't know what it's on, but at least 2 tracks got out. So yeah.
Zach, what did you send us? Something got cut, right?
Yeah. So on the track Need, which I believe that was a previously unreleased track, right, Mick?
Yes. Yeah. I believe so.
So on the song Need, there was like this error on the DAT tape. And because when I originally sent this, I didn't know this would like turn into like a full release. So I was wondering, so what are they going to do with that? Or are they just going to keep it in there? Are they going to shorten the song or just not have the song altogether? But luckily the song did come out and they just like took that section out. But if I didn't say anything, no one would know because whoever did the mastering did this amazing seamless transition to where it sounds exactly like how it would have been performed. So yeah, I sent you guys the unreleased bit of Need that no one has heard yet, that has like this different section in the song. It's like this more like slowed down part, and you'll just hear the DAT tape just like spitting digital error sounds everywhere.
So you want to play it, Mick?
Yeah, we can play it.
It's called Need, Need.
Yes, that's the name of the song.
Yes.
Yo, let's drop it.
Yeah. All right, here it comes. Boom.
Boom!
How'd that sound?
That was awesome. Sorry. I'm trying to copy the link for Mick here. So when I send him all the notes, he can have. I'm taking notes on this one too, Mick. So you know where to put all the stuff.
Cool. Awesome.
Zach, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
So
I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking.
As I said a few times, you are also the drummer for the band 2 Minute Minor that myself, Mr. Bob, and Marco started. Zach played drums on most of the 2 Minute Minor releases, with the exception of Brad, who played on a few things. But we are working on a new album right now, actually without Zach. And we have a new drummer, formerly of the Chicago band, the hardcore bands Lost Cause, Hazardous Youth, and the hometown Chicago favorite Life Sentence. Zach was the one that originally had the idea for the 2-inch record. And you should tell the listeners the story about the 2-inch record. And because Zach originally hid it from me, and it's kind of a funny story.
So yeah, for some reason at the time when we were starting, A Goon's Best Friend was like the only thing that came out at the time, and I thought it would be a cool idea to have like as many physical versions of all the releases as possible. So when we came out with this little 30-second song called Soda Tax, it's like, okay, I need to think of clever ways, or just any way, to get it physically released instead of just being like a one-off digital single. So at first I came out with a mini CD that sold terribly, but it's just something I had blank mini CDs lying around. I just made it all myself and just like, whatever, screw it, this is for me. I just wanted to put it out. And I'm like,
Well,
okay,
real
mini
quick,
CD's
though,
fine. Okay, it has a physical version.
Zach, we had people who bought the mini CD that they were like, I can't play this in my car. How am I supposed to put this in my CD player?
You can't. You just had to plug it into a computer or whatever. So
Sorry, I thought that was
yeah.
funny. Go ahead. Sorry.
So then, yeah, oh yeah, because mini CDs you can only play on where like the CD player comes out, and you can like
Right.
pop it in to the little spindle there. Because if you put it in a car, it just gets lost and stuck in there, and you're screwed. I mean, who wants to have Soda
Yeah.
Tax on repeat for forever?
Nobody.
So then I'm like, okay, mini CD's good. That's not enough. So then I surprised the guys with not one, but 2 different tape releases, 10 copies each. The first one was on this like recycled black tape. I think they were like random tapes that I had. And I cut it
You mean
down
this?
to about 30 seconds aside.
Yes, he's got one.
Yes.
Listen,
Yes.
I have one
yeah,
of 10.
that one.
Whoa.
Oh, so that one's a harder one to get because it was only given away on a Facebook. This is a random Facebook Live. So we're like, if like the first 10 people that ordered something after that Facebook Live, they get a free copy of Soda Tax. And most everyone's responses was like, thanks. I mean,
Wow,
what
you
am I gonna do with
remember
this?
that?
I remember everything with Soda Tax. Is weird.
That's crazy.
And then I came out with another 10 copies on like a clear recycled tape, and just like, oh, I wanted to actually be sold and see if people wanted it. 10 copies, still took forever to sell. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But what about a record?
Uh-oh.
Is there a way that I could put this on a record? And so I did research and found some people, especially in like the fine arts and experimental and noise realm, where those people, they find the most craftiest way to put out releases in like any format that
crafty
you've never
or crap?
heard. crafty,
Okay, crap.
but it could also be crappy. Like you can like cut up a bunch of flexi disc records and like say, here you go, $10. You can't play this, but here you go. It's like things like that. And so I found this guy named Michael Ridge, who's an experimental sound artist who has done many releases on like cassettes, mini CDs, floppy disks, and lathe cut records. And I found that he released stuff on like 3-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch, like even like a 1/2-inch record. It's like any size you could think of, this guy has put out. So I contacted him saying, how did you get this made? Because I can't find anything online. And he led me to this guy in Australia who goes by Mega Michael, and the company is called Perth Vinyl Recording. And he says he can do lathe cut records from as big as 14 inches to as little as 1-inch records. And so I contacted him. Hey, I wanted to put the song on a 2-inch record. How much would it be? What would be all the logistics with it? And he gave it back to me. And I told these guys, I think when we were in a recording session or something, hey, I got a cool idea. Let's put Soda Tax on this mini record. And everyone shot me down, thinking that it was the stupidest idea. This is not going to sell. Who would want this? Who could play this?
I was like, bro, our fans are not going to want this thing. Like, come on, man. They're not like hipster kids. We're all old, like fat hardcore. Like, no one's going to want this 2-inch mini record. I was wrong.
And basically I was like, screw you, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell like anyone I was doing this. And so it took a while to get it to arrive because it's being sent from Australia to Chicago. And it takes a while to make because lathe cut records are done in real time instead of actually pressed. But luckily 30 seconds doesn't take a long time. But when you do 50 copies, have to cut it to size and ship it out and all that stuff. So eventually I got it. And then I was able to get it all packaged together, print it all by myself, get labels printed on there. And then one night during a band practice, I just walked up to Glenn, Soda Tax on 2-inch. And he just looked at me like, really? Now we have to sell this thing. And
I said, no one's going to buy this. What are we going to sell this thing for, like $2? He's like, I don't know, let's sell it for 3 so I can at least make some money back.
Yeah.
Oh, you would have lost money, right? I think, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. I let the band take all the profits for that because, I mean, I didn't know if it was going to sell super well or not, but this is just something I wanted to do, so I just ate the cost and dealt with it. And even though if the band paid for it, $3 would still not have been enough. It wouldn't need to be like something else, but not too much more. But sold out in 3 days. We're like, oh, people actually like this.
Yeah, it's crazy. Unfortunately, that guy doesn't do lathe cut records anymore.
That's what I thought, but his website's now back. I just looked up today so I can get his name and everything, and his website is back online, and he's working on updating prices for 2021. So if you want a record as big as 14 inches or as little as 1 inch, go to perthvinylrecording.wordpress.com.
That's awesome. I didn't get the Soda Tax one. I did get the little guy.
Oh yeah. So
I got that one.
We did Up the Pups and Conflict Machine on a 3-inch.
Yeah, I got that.
Mm-hmm. We did We Hate 2-Minute Minor that you just put up. We did 100 of those, right, Zach?
Yes, we did. We did 50 of each 3-inch, and then we did the 100 of the 1-inch, 50-50 of 2 different covers.
Yeah,
and actually, there's. Mm-hmm. And
those
also
sold really quickly.
Oh yeah, those sold even better than the Soda Tax ones.
Yeah, like I think the first one was like an hour or something, or 2 hours, and then the second one was like minutes.
Yeah, basically.
Like they all sold out within minutes.
Yeah. So those were all fun to put together.
Yeah, because you guys did 2 runs of the We Hate 2-Minute Minor one, right? Or you released it 2 separate?
Yeah.
Because I didn't get the first time. I missed out, and then the second time I went and grabbed it.
Yeah, so. You got the black one. That's the second one. The white one was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mick actually wanted you to come on the show because I sent him an early copy of, or an early digital copy of the 8-bit remixes. And he's like, we should have Zach on to talk about this. And I thought, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do something different. Having Zach on would be good too, because Zach and I have worked together for like 7 years on many different things. He's been basically like the producer and the engineer for the second Octobird record, basically the producer and the engineer for the first 2-Minute Minor, then the mixer for all the 2-Minute Minor records up to this point. What's Your Damage? I think I said that right. Did I say What's Your Damage already? Anyways, he did What's Your Damage. We just finished our last record, our third record, our newest record, and Zach did all the mixing for that, and he did all the vocal recording just a few weeks ago. And that's dropping July 16th. I don't know when this is dropping, so it'll probably be out. It'll probably be out already. But that's 8 songs. That's our last album that we're doing with that band. And also, that was the last project that I'm officially doing with Zach. So this is kind of like Zach's moving on to his own stuff, moving on to bigger and better things, kind of thing. So this episode is to promote that 8-bit remixes, which he'll get into this, but that 8-bit remixes is being released on floppy disk, and that's his going away present to 2-Minute Minor. So Mick wanted you on the podcast to talk about it, and I thought it would be perfect because this could be like your kind of send off from Wiley / Glenn working together, kind of thing. So explain to us about this floppy disk, because we're planning on releasing limited physical copies of this floppy disk on July 30th.
Oh my gosh.
And well, actually, we're doing it the Friday before, right? What's the deal here? Nope, we're releasing the audio on Bandcamp on August 6th, and we're releasing the physical copies July 30th. That's how unprepared I am. All right, well, tell us, why in the world did you pick this crazy thing for your going away? I mean, you already did 1-inch, 3-inch, 2-inch, so you're crazy already, but why did you pick a floppy disk as your going away gift to the world?
So, remember how I said I wanted to put Soda Tax on every format possible? I did not do a floppy disk yet. So I had a collection of just like random floppy disks in various colors and whatever that I've just collected over the years, because I just do that. I just acquire them somehow. So I was like, okay, I just put it all together, and I took a picture of it just for fun to send to the band. It's like, look at all these random Soda Tax things. There's no floppy disk. Let me do that just because I had it. And so I randomly call up Glenn saying, hey, open your FaceTime. I'm going to make this release because I can. And I just showed it to him, and there's just floppy disks on the floor. And so what happened was while we were talking, I was just putting together the floppy disks. I'm borrowing an external floppy disk drive, because what computers have floppy drives anymore? None, unless if you're running Windows 95. So I was starting to put that together, and it's like, okay, I have a low-bit MP3 of Soda Tax in there. I have the artwork. I mean, yeah, it's just going to be a few copies. What else could I do for the floppy disk just to make it fun? So one thing I did was, just for fun, I made a short 8-bit remix version of Soda Tax. And then, so at first I had a few black floppies out, and then I found red ones. And then Glenn's like, oh, why don't we do We Hate 2 Minute Minor? Because the red goes along its other short songs. So then I made 8-bit remixes of those too. And then we're like, okay, it's just not even a minute of 8-bit remixes. What else can we do? And I'm like, let me see what other colors I have. So I found more colors and put together 8-bit remixes for the other 2 mini records, which was Up the Pups and Conflict Machine. And then it just turned into, let's just make a whole thing out of it. And since Glenn likes to have even number songs, I had to think of another song to put for the 6th track. And I decided to do Change My Life because I thought that one is like one of my top favorites, 2 Minute Minor songs that I thought would fit well in an instrumental 8-bit format. And that's how the 8-bit remixes was birthed. 6 random 2 Minute Minor songs have 8-bit remixes now that you can get on floppy disk, because why not?
So tell everybody, we got 2 different things, right, that we're offering. Tell people what we're offering.
Yeah, so I hope I get the numbers right. So we have 20 copies of the standard edition, which includes the 8-bit remixes on a floppy disk. But also, if you want to put it on your computer or actually listen to the songs, we offered it in a nice high-class mini CD because it's the same size as the floppy. We have not a full CD, but a mini CD, because why not? Just add more to the craziness of the release. So we have 20 copies of those, a floppy disk and a mini CD. And then so we have only 5 copies of a deluxe version, which has the same mini CD with a different artwork, and then same floppy disk with the same content as the standard edition, but you have 4 other floppies in different colors, which has custom artwork of all the mini records releases in different colors as well. Yes, because why not? So it comes all in this nice little package, and the floppy disks themselves include low-bit MP3s of the original songs and the remixes, because you got to add to that crappy aesthetic, the crappy sounding aesthetic. So you can listen to 2 Minute Minor like you're downloading something from Napster, basically. And
we're
and so
we're giving away a copy too on the podcast.
Yes.
8-bit floppy disk and 8-bit CD, right?
That's
or
awesome.
just floppy disk.
The floppy disk and CD combination. I think you're doing the standard edition.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, the floppy includes the original tracker versions of the remixes. What's a tracker file, you may ask? So back in the day, I think around the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of electronic musicians and producers at the time were making music on the computer via tracker software. Like you had like Impulse Tracker, Mod Plug Tracker, like those things, where instead of like viewing things like you see horizontally on Pro Tools, you just see a bunch of numbers and letters just going up and down vertically, and you just import a bunch of samples and instruments, and that's how a lot of that was made at the time, because tracker files didn't take up that much space. Like these remixes only take kilobytes. I don't even think a remix is 100 kilobytes. So that is very small. So I could fit all the 8-bit remixes on MP3 and tracker files and more on a single floppy disk that's like not even a megabyte and a half.
Well,
so you get those, and they're... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say we uploaded this to Spotify and Apple Music and Bandcamp, and we got denied because it wasn't high enough quality.
Yeah. So actually, what happened was that these 8-bit remixes were made in mono, and obviously music mostly nowadays are in stereo, so I had to make them in stereo. So yeah. So if people want to access the original versions of how I actually made these remixes, there is a text file in the floppy disk that gives you a download link to use the software Mod Plug Tracker, also known as OpenMPT. It's a free download, and it's a safe free download, and it's all donation based on the website. And so that's how you can view the original sessions, if you will. and I made the songs on the Screen Tracker format. So the file format type is S3M. Looks really cool. Also including in these floppy disks is ASCII art. It's ASCII and ANSI art are basically artwork in text files. So instead of you seeing an actual image, you're just seeing a bunch of text. So I made ASCII art versions of like the 2 Minute Minor logo, and all of the mini record covers are in text files, and you can see them in this ASCII art format. And
Mind blown.
yeah.
Listen,
I think that's all of it.
Go
and
ahead.
I've heard these things and they sound awesome, and I let my wife listen to it and she loves it, but it sounds like you're playing like Contra or something when it sounds that awesome.
Mhm.
And I let my kids listen to it, and they felt like they were playing, because I got them these little handheld games that actually have Contra and all this old stuff I played when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And they're like, that sounds like my video game. So I think you guys should take it and see if you can hand it off to somebody who's creating an 8-bit video game in the future and totally use it as a soundtrack. That'd be awesome. It sounds that good.
Oh yeah, I could totally see Conflict Machine in like a pole position-esque racing game, you
Yes.
know.
Zach,
It
which
just
one's your
gets like
favorite?
the energy.
Which one's your favorite track?
I think Conflict Machine is my favorite because I listen to them in the car, and it's just like I just want to go 100 down the highway listening to Conflict Machine, pretend I'm in this little 8-bit car and just like running into things.
Yo, let's drop Conflict Machine
All right.
on 8-bit. Contra Machine. Here we go. Boom, drop it! All right, Mr. Zach. We come to this part of the show where I ask you, what is your go-to guilty pleasure album that most people would laugh at?
So when you sent me these questions a while ago, I was thinking so hard for a right answer to this question, because for those that don't know, I have thousands of albums, and most of them being CDs. I was just going through what I have, and I'm like, there's so many good options that I could choose, but I couldn't pinpoint it to a single album, so I went even further and pinpointed it to a single genre. You ready for this, guys?
All right.
Probably not.
90s Euro House is my go-to guilty pleasure genre of music. Do
Of
you
course
guys
it
know
is.
what Euro House is?
No. No.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. So just think of like, get ready for this. The 2 Unlimited, you have Hadaway, What Is Love? And then you have Snap. You have like the artist Aqua that did like Barbie Girl. You
Oh
have
my
Venga
gosh.
Boys that did the Six Flags song. You have Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic. You have LaBouche, LeClick, Ace of Base. I
What
could go on.
language are you speaking?
I am speaking Euro House, 90s Euro House. Yeah, and also to add insult to injury, there's a few 90s Christian Euro House that I've listened to, and some I enjoy, even the cringiness and the cheesiness of all. For some reason, it's just fun. I will go back to like one of those previous episodes where Brian was talking about like the raves that were happening at Cornerstone back in the day.
Yeah.
It would have a lot of this stuff, especially the Christian stuff, where Euro House just, especially in the 90s, was like super happy, super bubbly, super cheesy. Add Christian on top of that.
So I'm guessing. Let me guess. Let's see. Worldwide Message Tribe. Is that
Yes.
one? All right. Prodigal Sons.
It
wasn't her.
I don't know Prodigal Sons that well, but I wrote down Worldwide Message Tribe and Nitro Praise were definitely the two that stood out to me. Where especially Nitro Praise, it's like you got the cheesy 90s, you have the cheesy 90s CCM church songs that they were used at the time. Add like a Euro house techno beat to it, and you just have the ultimate cheese. If you're lactose intolerant, don't listen to this stuff.
I am.
I used to radio DJ for a station here close to where I live, and it used to be all in-house DJs, and then they got bought out by K-Love. But back in the 90s, I was working with them, and they had me do a show like on Thursday nights, and one of the things is we had to play stuff that certain people sent us. And what was it? It wasn't Alarma. It was Intense. It was the pop side of Intense Records. Who was that? I cannot remember. Frontline Records had a whole Frontline Records, Intense Records, all them. They had a whole dance like side of the label, and a lot of the bands, like I believe Prodigal Sons was on that. If you remember, before Mortal, there was Gyro Dialects, and they were kind of like that. And well, it's a bunch of stuff like that. And I remember eventually Worldwide Message Tribe came around, and I had to play all that stuff on the radio. So yeah, I remember those guys. Yeah, Scott Blackwell was another one.
Glenn's.
It's like, what in the world? Sorry.
Good old
Zach!
Glenn!
This is the time to plug any band, coffee company, tattoo shop, record store, or anything else you might want to plug. Do it.
All right, so I will give you the my website, CaptainPortalMusic.com, which will have like the list of like everything I've done, which is my releases and audio portfolio and all that stuff. And also you can check out my Bandcamp, which has all my releases, all free to download pretty much. And that has the link to all my socials. And I would also like to give a shout out to netlabelday.com, which that remix that I'm coming out with will be part of the Net Label Day, which is every July 14th, which is the birth of the MP3 file. And Net Label Day has been around since 2015. Every single year, there's hundreds of albums of various styles of music all over the world, free to download. And this is basically the free digital music equivalent of Record Store Day. So just check out netlabelday.com. You may find something you like there.
Awesome.
Cool. That's it. All right, Zach, we are kicking you off. Goodbye, and thank you for being on the Coffee Hardcore podcast. And seriously, thank you for 7 years of music producing and mixing. I love you. It's sad that you're gone, but I still got to make music. And so do you. Just separately.
Yes. And don't worry. As soon as I finish Toy Sounds Volume 2 with your instrument that you got me, I will let you know. And hopefully you love it instead of hating it. So.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, welcome to Coffee and Hardcore. We're here where we get to talk to some folks, and we've got Matt and Jeremy from Tuning with us. And so great to have you guys. What's up?
Yo, it's good to be here.
Awesome.
Guess we go at the same time, so
yeah. That's right. So hey, why don't I let you guys just introduce yourself, tell us what you do in the band, and all that good jazz.
Take it away, Jeremy.
Yeah, my name is Jeremy Smith. I am a microphone holder for Tuning. I yell it to the best. I yell it with the best of my ability into a microphone and write some lyrics, and sometimes the music too. So that's what I do for Tuning.
Yeah. So, and I can confirm he does it to the best of his ability, and that ability is very strong. So I'm Matt. I play guitar in Tuning. I take what Jeremy writes and butcher it usually. So. And then the rest of the band, I mean, it's just the two of us, but the rest of the band, we've got Adrian, who is our lead guitarist. So when you hear anything that sounds like a solo, that is all him. I cannot play anything beyond the first 3 strings, as I like to pretend. So we have our bassist name is Ben, and our drummer is Murtaza.
Awesome.
So
Killer.
that's the band.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, how did you guys form? Like, have you been doing this for a long time? Did you guys meet up and you're like, hey, let's do this? Or you from other bands? Like, how did you guys form Tuning?
So this is Jeremy. So I moved. I work in higher education, and I moved from where I grew up in Buffalo, New York, to the Bay in California in 2015. And after I kind of sunk into the groove of my position at the college, I decided, I got the itch to be in a band. I've been in so many bands, done so much touring, when I lived in Buffalo, that I really had that itch, and I really wanted to be in a band. And so I started writing songs, and I tried to get something going for a while, but I was relatively new to the Bay. I mean, I knew some people from being out here when my bands would play here and stuff, but nobody who was really into the idea of doing a band. And so it took a little while, but then American Nightmare played here in March of 2019. No, 2018.
2018.
March
2018, yeah.
Yeah, it was March 2018. And, there I had been jamming off and on with Murtaza, who's our drummer, but we really didn't have, it was just me and him. And then we met, he said, oh, I know a guy, Adrian, who's here, who's interested in playing guitar. And Adrian knew a guy named Ben, and we recorded what I thought was going to be a demo, which ended up being our first LP, Hanging Thread. And before that came out, Matt joined, and that was pretty much how the band came together. It was kind of like some bands come together, and it's kind of like liquid pouring into a cup. Like it all like happens really quickly, and it all congeals really quickly. With us, it was more like a pair of shoes falling down the stairs. Eventually, it got to the landing, and they were next to each other, and everything worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Jeremy and I first met at Gilman, 94 Gilman, at a No Warning and Terror show. And it was also at a time in my life when I was sort of like just like jumping back into being really active in hardcore. Because I went through like a number of years in my life where I was sort of like, not super attached to what was going on currently, not going to as many shows, but like, still keeping up with what was happening. And so we met there. And funny story from me is that I remember he's like, oh yeah, I was in this band called Dead Hearts. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I had no clue who they were because like they belonged to sort of a time when I would, and were doing a lot when I was sort of not really attached to what was happening. But then I look back, I was like, oh, no way, that's cool. But yeah, so we met there, and I remember I had started doing a couple bands. I played drums in Discourage, and I was touring and playing bass with a band called Spirits. And in like the summer of 2018, Jeremy actually asked me like, hey, do you have any interest in doing something? And I was doing those two things as well as kind of starting to fill in for a band called Dying For It. So I had like 3 projects going on. I was like, yo, I have no bandwidth to do anything right now. Then Jeremy and I kept talking and just, we'd see each other at shows and, chat on DMs. And then eventually he sent me the rough mixes for Hanging Thread. And I heard this, and it was just after I had left Dying For It. They were based out of Reading, and just, it was way too much on me to like be commuting 4 hours to practice and do shows and stuff. It was like, I can't. but something emerged really locally that just fit. And like Jeremy said, it was like shoes falling down the stairs, and they happened to land next to each other. It's like, he records this record, sends it to me. All of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, let's jump on board. And then within like probably about the span of 6 weeks, there was a record recorded, a 5-piece band solidified, a first show booked, and an LP sent off to the pressing plant. And this was all like December 2018, going into 2019, and boom, we were literally off to the races.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the first LP you guys released?
Yeah, that's correct. We did that on Unity Worldwide, which has strong affiliations with Cortex Records, or the big record distributor out in Germany.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. And the second, I think we reviewed your second album, the one with the
Playing the Purpose. Yeah, that came out on Indecision.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that came out last year, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, we wrote it. We recorded it in November of 2019, and we were playing shows and we were kind of shopping it around, and it was like nobody was like trying to listen. Nobody was listening to it. We were sending it, because a lot of stuff was going on. The end of the year 2019, everybody was already mapping out their releases for 2020, and then we were going on tour with Slapshot. We were playing some bigger shows, and Dave from Indecision was like, "Oh, let's keep kind of talking about this." And then he saw us a couple of times, and then he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then literally like a week after we figured out and kind of mapped out what we were doing, and decided on Defining the Purpose, with Dave, and Dave being really psyched about it, the pandemic hit.
Yep.
So that, when, by the time we had everything ready to send to the pressing plant, he's like, well, they're expecting delays, so we should, probably won't come out till August. And now pressing plants are really experiencing delays.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's pretty wild, yeah. But yeah, that was that. You guys, and I remember listening to the review you guys did of our record a few months ago, and that came out in August of 2020.
Yeah,
right in the middle of the pandemic.
Right. Yeah, I think I found it at the maybe beginning of September, and it was in rotation. I know until the end of the year. We cranked it a lot around our house. Loved it. The Quiet Hero song is that's the jam. I love it.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
But so going from there, you got the album that just dropped.
Yeah, it's literally. I mean, we're recording this at like 5 p.m. Pacific on July 1st, and it's gonna hit Spotify in like 3.5 hours.
Right. And you just dropped it on Bandcamp today, right? Was today when it came out on Bandcamp or yesterday?
Yeah. It came out on Bandcamp. Yeah, and I think like you can't download it until like tomorrow, but when it officially comes out. But yeah, it came out on Bandcamp today, basically.
That's killer. I know a bunch of folks snagged those 12-inch records you guys did. I know Wiley got one. I was too late. I was in Tennessee with no cell service. No Wi-Fi. Was not able to grab it at all. I was so bummed.
I think isn't it still available? I think there's still some up there.
Yeah, I think there might be still some at Indecision.
There's only 200, but I think there's a few. I think there's a few you can still grab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought the only thing was left was from Cortex in Germany. That's my bad. I read it wrong.
No.
They're just the only people in Europe who are going to have it. Because originally we weren't going to have it at any distros or sell to any stores. But then we thought, because shipping is so expensive to Europe and the UK right now. We want, there's only 200 of them, but we want people all over to be able to get it. So Dave was like, let's give Cortex just a few, so at least some people in Europe can get a physical copy without having to pay that super high premium for shipping.
Yeah, and like a lot of what my friends in Europe who were contacting me about it were saying is that like it's actually like taxes on top of the shipping. There's like import duties and stuff that they have to that they're really just getting killed on right now. So that's sort of the situation. Like, and that's only been in the past couple days that we've known that Cortex was going to get a few, and that it looks like Program in Fullerton has a few. But people who are really close and tight knit to Dave and Indecision and Southern California, where he's located. Really, just those are the only people who are going to get actual physical copies aside from Indecision selling it directly.
Wow. So
yeah, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Our relationship with Cortex is just really strong from the get-go. So it was nice to be able to send them stuff.
That's awesome. So Wiley has a question I'm supposed to ask you. I'm going to read it verbatim. Okay, here it comes. You put 5 songs on a 12-inch record, correct?
That's correct.
He wants to know why you didn't just put it on a 7-inch.
Okay.
Well, for one, it'd be the especially side 2. Okay, let's back it up.
All right.
So I think I like 12 inches better than 7-inch EPs. I like myself personally. I like 7-inch singles, one side on side A, one side on side B. And I think 7-inch EPs are awesome. I have tons of them, especially all those early Rev ones. But I also know that as you put more minutes on a side, the tighter the grooves get, and the more chance as a person who buys records, the more chance that record's going to skip is increased. Plus, you have to make it a 33 instead of a 45, and a 12-inch on 45 sonically sounds so much better than a 7-inch on 33.
Yeah.
And the B side of this record is pushing close to 7 minutes, which is the maximum time for one side. Because those 3 songs, I think it might actually cross 7 minutes, or if not, it gets really close to it. So you can certainly budget-wise, if because back in the day, 7 inches were so much cheaper to do than 12 inches. You could cram all that stuff on there for better or for worse, like the DRI Dirty Rotten EP and stuff like that. However, a 200 run 12-inch, you're going to make your money back, and you're going to have a big piece of beautiful art. I didn't want to waste that artwork on a 7-inch, on a 7x7, template. That cover art that Johan painted for us is so phenomenal. I wanted to give it, that 12-inch treatment.
Everybody I know loved, the art on Donnie Defining the Purpose, which was also done by Johan. Yeah. But Johan really outdid himself with this art. The moment he posted a little Instagram story teasing it, and I could see it, just as he was still working on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. And then Jeremy sends it out, and our just jaws hit the floor. It was so phenomenal, and so.
I figured it was sonically, that was the reason why, but when you talk about the artwork too, man, that is true. That because I remember I think Matt, you dropped an Instagram pic that I think it has one of you from a live shot, and then it was just a little shot of the 12, the cover, and I was like, I can't see that. What's more of it? It was just killer artwork. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely high quality art. And so, there's a part of it that the whole entire experience of getting this physical thing. And I'm not a record guy at all. Jeremy knows I'm the opposite of him. But just having that actual piece, on 12 inches is great. And the other thing I've been hearing also, I don't know, Jeremy, if this is true with your discussions with Dave at all, is that right now that there's actually a difference between pressing times for a 12-inch versus pressing times for a 7-inch. I was talking to one of my friends today who they're working on something coming out, and he's like, yeah, it's 30 weeks for a 7-inch and it's 12 to 15 for a 12-inch. So we have a 7-inch worth of records. We're doing a one side. We're doing a 12-inch because we want our record to come out in a reasonable time. So
yeah, it's crazy. I keep talking to folks and they're telling me they're having to plan out their albums almost even 2 years ahead of time. Yeah. Because of especially if they're doing vinyl, because it's that far backed up and it's insane right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and like I was saying, I have nothing against the 7-inch format. I think some labels are kind of done with doing 7 inches or doing them less and doing more 12-inch EPs and one-sided 12 inches instead to kind of make up for that. But I'm motivated and interested in doing like a split 7-inch sometime soon. It's just I'm not, I didn't think that this piece of work, whatever the song and the art, would be justified on a 7-inch, I guess is the best way to put it. And thankfully, Dave felt the exact same way.
That's awesome. Awesome. So you guys recorded this in the middle of the pandemic, the COVID. How did that work? How did you guys pull that off?
Well, a couple things happened was right as the pandemic started to hit, and we're all stuck at home. Jeremy basically sat down and started throwing a bunch of riffs around. Him and I were doing some talking. We talked about doing the Inside Out cover that's on there. But basically riffs started flying pretty much as we were all just stuck with nothing to do. I had something that I threw, which eventually became the song Pacific. Jeremy had a bunch of stuff, and we, surprisingly, this record was, I feel, it came together really quick and a lot easier than Defining the Purpose, because I think we just had so much time, pre-work done once we got back into the practice space after about 6 months. We were really able to kind of bang out songs really quickly, it seemed.
Wow.
So
it was 8 months.
Yeah, it was a long. Yeah.
It was February till October. Yeah. So we practiced again, and that even then it was it was not as furious as it should have been, because COVID restrictions lightened up a little bit, so we were able to get together, and we all were masked up, and there's plexiglass up in our practice space and all that stuff. So it was relatively safe feeling work on the record, and it was one of those things where I'm always playing my guitar and writing stuff constantly and consistently, but when COVID hit, the college I worked at closed down, and I went from working full time to working only 3 days a week, and having to take vacation time to make up for the other 2 days I wasn't working. So I was just, plus I was, my relationship had just fallen apart pre-COVID. So I was just sitting at home, and my kids were just sitting at home because they couldn't go to school. And I was just, trying to entertain the kids. And then, the only way I could really decompress, because you couldn't go anywhere, and at first, it was you can't even, you shouldn't even go to the national parks. You shouldn't go anywhere. My God, stay in your home or you're going to die, was basically the initial message. So, how I tried to kind of deal with everything and kind of decompress from just the crushing weight of the world that was coming down on everybody was I just wrote songs. And and a lot of it never even got presented to the band because I didn't think it was that great. But the stuff that did get, I would work on something for a week or two, and then I'd be like, yo guys, check out these 2 riffs I'm working on together, or check out this melody, or check out whatever. And we kind of pick and choose what we liked. And what's funny is on the new record, Cinder and Ash, that was the first one I think I sent, and I forgot about it. And so we were working on like, we had just like worked on like 2 or 3 of the songs, and our bass player Ben was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that metal one." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh right, there's another. I have another song for it," because I had literally, it was like, here it was October, and the majority of that song I had written like back in March.
Wow.
So it had completely slipped my mind, and that one, Cinder and Ash off the new record. That one, I really got psyched about because the other songs weren't completely fleshed out yet. We were kind of just workshopping them or whatever. But that one, I think, was the first one where Matt was like, "Oh, wait a minute, why don't we do this here instead of that?" And a light bulb went off, and I was like, yes, that is what we're gonna do. That's amazing. And that was the first time where I really felt that it was kind of congealing more songwriting wise as like a group, than instead of me just dictating to everybody what we were gonna do and how it was gonna be. Like the curtains got parted a little bit, and like some other sunlight got to come into the room. And I look forward to that continuing is like that process, continued more so with A Beacon in Impossible Seas as a whole. And yeah, it's exciting. It's just exciting for me as someone who's been in a million bands and written a million fucking songs. Like, it's just really, really exciting to be part of the band that's now kind of more doing it together. You know what I mean? Great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
No, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually really echo what Jeremy's saying, because I feel like in a lot of ways you can hear that progression to where there is a little more of, different, more voices, happening. Because Hanging Thread was all Jeremy, just Jeremy very much. This is here. You can hear Define the Purpose has a little bit of a change, because I think we were a full band at that point, Jeremy had written everything, but it was sort of like we still had to get in the room and arrange it. And so, there was stuff that got changed around, switched around, ideas on the Love That Lies. I mean, Jeremy, that was going to be like a completely different sounding song, and ended up being a lot bigger and more driving than I think originally envisioned. But on Beacon, you have a whole song, with that started from someone completely different. You had, like Jeremy said, a lot more that went into how do we arrange this differently? How do we do this? How do we play this breakdown? And so it's definitely a record that, we are very, very proud of. We're very happy with. The past 2 that we've done with Zach Oren at Castle Ultimate. He works out of this place called Sharkbite Studios. It's 5 minutes from where I live in Oakland. And the man is a mastermind. He did he did the 2 Go It Alone LPs. He did Ceremonies, Violence, a lot of the Allegiance records. He's kind of a Bay Area stalwart from mid 2000s hardcore, who he's grown a lot more to do a lot more of metal and grind stuff. But his ability to capture exactly what we're trying to do, is fantastic. He's got this great process of making the drums, really, really, really stand out, getting the huge guitar tones that he's able to capture. So it's been a fun process to work on these last 2. And put them out.
Well, I was going to say, I love Defining the Purpose, but when you guys sent this to check out and listen, I fell in love with it as soon as I heard it. And the main reason is normally I gravitate towards the bass and the guitar and everything, which all that's great. But, but man, the lyrics and the vocals on this album are so emotional. And you can, I'm glad you shared that story, because you can feel some of that, from this past year, all of that building up. You can totally feel that come out of what you guys are doing. and it really plays out in the vocals, man. I just the other day I was driving down the road doing stuff for work, and I had that cranked, and just, I mean, it stirs you up a little bit. It like gets you like you totally connect with it, and you feel everything. It's a killer record.
Yeah, when I tracked the excuse me, when I tracked the vocals for that, you know, I was going through it in that booth. It was not just a, hey, I'm in the booth, I'm gonna sing some songs. You know, it wasn't anything like that. It was
Right.
like every line that I wrote about something, I was going through it. It was a very very emotional process. And it's funny because when I sing, I always bring stuff with really high sugar content and milk and stuff, because the way it coats my throat actually helps me to get to where I sing, which is weird. And other people who have recorded me out east and everything like that, they know that like I am going to be drinking strawberry milk while I sing. And,
It's so disgusting.
It's disgusting. It tastes so awful, but the way it coats my throat, it helps. You can hear it. You can hear the difference. And every person who's ever recorded me doing the vocals, they hear it too, and they're like, "Oh, that's really interesting. It's gross as hell, but that's really interesting." But yeah, when we were doing the vocals for this, I was first of all, all of our songs I'm really invested in to begin with, but just, that cathartic experience of really singing those songs in that booth, hearing, just, it was very emotional. And Pacific was, the end of Pacific was very, very hard to get through without completely breaking down. And I did, but not in a way that it didn't sound good. It sounded good. And that's the take you hear. Like I actually broke down at the end of that song. And that's actually what you hear on the record at the last little bit of lyrics, and then we lost our way in that song. Like I am literally falling apart. And thankfully it sounded great, because when you're a big blubbering idiot like I am, you could be in there just and it could sound terrible. But it thankfully it didn't, because I was in it 100%. Just exuding the emotion I felt when I wrote the lyrics.
As someone who was in the studio outside watching from the booth, like I can confirm everything he was saying. Like I thought Jeremy was going to basically leave it all out on the table, and maybe this was going to be his last will and testament. I mean, he was very much going for it. I've never seen tracking like that, and you can hear it. I mean, it's an intense vocal performance. It's and there's a whole urgency to the pace of the record. That we as the instrumentalists were all able to kind of capture and put together, and sort of lay that foundation for him to just literally just kill it on this record. This is one of the finest vocal performances, in hardcore. So.
No, I agree. Like there's only one other album that I've listened to this year that has been as cathartic as the one you guys just dropped, and that's the last Zao record, the Crimson Corridor. And I don't say that because I was like, I used to be in that band. I don't, because there's a good 10, 15 years between when I was in it and the new guys. So it's like a whole other thing. But that new Crimson Corridor album was just as cathartic. And it's like, when I put those two together, it was very helpful. Let's put it that way. When hearing this and being able to check it out, I loved it. I know Wiley loves it. It's good stuff, man. So what's the future? What's the future for you guys?
Well, I'd like to start, playing shows again at the end of the year. That'd be fun. We did finally get asked to play some stuff, so that's nice. Who knows if it'll fit with all of our schedules, but it just sucked because at the beginning of 2020, January and February 2020, we did a Slapshot West Coast run, and our momentum was really, really building. And we were going to play stuff with Negative Approach, and stuff was like, and for me, being the old timer in the band, like, that kind of stuff, like, that's like a box I get to check, I guess. I don't fucking know, but like, I get to say like, like, oh shit, I got to play with this band that meant so much to me when I was younger. And, and at the last show we played with Slapshot, I did exude that on stage. I did say, that being, when I was a kid, I had Slapshot posters on my wall. I mean, they were one of the first probably 20 canon hardcore bands I ever heard, in 1990. And so for me, it was like very, for me, hardcore is very emotional. It's like this, for me, like I feel like a connection to it. And, I'm really big on communication. I think people should talk about what they're going through. And it's okay if someone doesn't feel comfortable doing that. But I think that communication is really important. And, one of the things that I've noticed, maybe sometimes it's changed over the years, is that people don't. I've been to a whole show where the band doesn't even tell you who they fucking are.
Yep.
So it's like, 6 bands play and never once do they tell you what their band name is. And that's cool for like a heavy foreboding, gloom band and shit. I just left your show and I have no idea which band I liked and which band I didn't. I don't know who you are. And bands, I think it's great for bands to like shout out their friends and everything like that, but they're not communicating. They're not giving me, I don't know what this band is about. Now, if this band is just about, breakdowns and jumping around, that's cool. I think there's a place for that, but, I want to know what people are about. I want to know what they have to say, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. And, what I want to do is I want to get out there and be able to, have that exchange of ideas when we play shows. Like, I love talking to people after we play. I fucking love it. I mean, I'm a talker anyway, but, I remember a couple of the shows in the Slapshot tour where people were like, hey, man, I really liked what you had to say up there. That was really great. And I know that's going to alienate some people because I try to make it concise, but it doesn't always work like that. You want it to be, you want it to be a precision surgical strike, but instead it's a carpet bomb. You're just going whoa, bullshit spewing from your mouth, and you're trying to get back on track, and you just say more bullshit. But I really want to get out there and encourage the exchange of ideas and just dialogue about people, how they're feeling, where they're at. How you doing? Like, for Christ's sake, how the fuck you doing? We just went through it, man. We're still going through it. The pandemic's not over.
Right.
We're fucking, we're what, 16 months into this? People are still going through it. And I'm hoping that as more people become vaccinated and more people are more comfortable and it's more safe to be out there, that people can kind of talk about it and say, yeah, this fucking year sucked, or yeah, this year sucked, but I turned it into something positive, or yeah, this year sucked and I'm still feeling it, and I think like I need some help. I want people to be able to talk about that, and that's one of the reasons why I wrote the record the way I did. And that's why I want to get out there and have people feel that and do that and experience that. And I'm hoping I can kind of be like the lubrication sometimes when we play shows to kind of get that going, and for better or for worse, that's kind of what I've always done when we played. Yeah, I'm hoping we start playing some more shows soon, and I'm hoping to write another record probably by the end of the year, another EP. That we're definitely going to do at some point, but who knows when the hell it'll come out if pressing plant delays stay, 9 to 10 months, 10 months out. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the goal.
Yeah, a lot of what Jeremy's communicating about, like, this idea of like communicating really resonates with me personally, because a lot of what has kept me going to hardcore shows for 25 years hasn't been like an aesthetic or just like the mosh or like even, certain politics or an ethics, but just for me, the idea of like connecting to other people and feeling connected to myself, because so much of, I think, how we experience life right now is very disconnected from each other and very self-alienated and disconnected from ourselves, and hardcore for me has always been that thing that has helped me really feel like I can show up and be present. I'm not sitting on my stupid phone scrolling through Instagram, or I'm not trying to pretend I'm somebody else to appease somebody. I can just show up and bang my head and stage dive and feel like I'm connected to myself. I can meet people. This thing has given me the opportunity to travel around the world, and to meet people from all across the country, and it's really, really cool. And a lot of that conversation has been bigger than whatever is sort of the hype beast flavor of the moment in hardcore. It's bigger than whatever's kind of going on with even certain messages. Like I've always felt very connected to self and others through this, and I think as we think about our future and what we're saying on stage, like our hope is that that'll proliferate, and that'll be sort of a counterpoint maybe to certain things that are going on, whether it's just kind of nihilistic or just very like cookie cutter on the message. Not a lot of people are really getting on stage anymore and just talking about what they're feeling, right. About what's sort of on the heart. Where am I struggling? A lot of people are being more comfortable talking about things like depression and anxiety, but I appreciate the stuff Jeremy writes, because I think it's that and just bigger picture metaphysical questions, meta questions in general. So, but yeah, like Jeremy said, for the future, the Bay's just kind of started having, California lifted its restrictions, 2 weeks ago, and, shows haven't even started happening at like actual venues yet. That's still up in the air. The first one that I know that's going to happen at an actual venue is going to happen in like 2 weeks. And so it's sort of really kind of up in the air as to what that reopening is going to look like. I know there's questions like with the new Delta variant that's causing some concern. But the Bay has also been very like, from the time the pandemic started, very much like everyone in the Bay kind of clamped up, and was like Jeremy was saying earlier, the messaging was like, don't leave your house or you'll die. And everyone was like, oh, okay, I guess we won't leave our house so we don't die, right. And then when people started saying, hey, it's okay to come out of your house now, everybody outside the Bay was like, well, we've already been doing that, so who cares? And the Bay was like, are you sure? And I still feel like there's very much, as I talk to like coworkers, they're like, no. I know they said it's okay for me to not wear a mask, even though I'm vaccinated, but I'm going to do it anyways. And you don't really see that outside of, really like progressive enclaves like the Bay specifically. And so, it's really kind of a little up in the air, still as to what is going to happen, even though, stuff is getting planned out, it could all in a month implode. Right. I don't foresee that happening, but it could. So. Right.
Yeah, I know. And here I live in West Virginia, so you've got a weird mix here. Yeah. But the one good thing that I can say about my state is we passed out vaccines like they were candy, and people hopped on it, which I was completely surprised that my state was that open to go. Like, I work for a coffee shop, and across the road they were doing vaccinations, and that place was always packed. It's been packed until like last week. So things have kind of opened up a little bit more here, and there are some shows being planned, but they're like kind of outside. So I'm kind of seeing that happening and taking place. And and I'm with you. I'm hoping things open up some more and we can start seeing some stuff, because I think, at least in the hardcore scene, we need that therapeutic conversation again. I think that's really going to help move some things along, at least in where we connect, I guess. I know the majority of my friends that I have in my life that have that lasted longer than 5 years have all been from the hardcore scene. Like I really can't name anybody outside of that grouping of people that's not been around that long. So
there's an element of like when you're not a civilian, you've got to like, you got to connect with other like-minded people,
right.
Like this is such a unique subculture that, if you can't connect with somebody on that level, like you either connect and sort of like, just sort of keep this part of you a little bit aside, like, because who's gonna relate to you stage diving or getting kicked in the face or something like that, or screaming your lungs out to lyrics, like
right.
Someone who listens to Taylor Swift or something like that, which actually is like just like actually a bunch of hardcore kids listen to Taylor Swift, so I don't probably not the best example, but someone who only listens to that might be like, why do you do that? Like, why are they all so angry? You're like, well, why aren't you? So
right.
And to pivot off of what we were talking about, with communication and everything, like that's kind of like where the name came from. The process for the name tuning came from, I really like the Avail song Tuning. So, I was like, okay, that's like my favorite Avail song. And then at the time I saw Metallica 3 times on the Worldwide tour. I have no, I fucking love Metallica, whatever. The first band I ever loved, 35 years ago. So they always kind of get in the same groove and in tune and everything in the tuning room before every show. They sit in the tuning room and they kind of flesh out what their set list is going to be. They goof around a little bit. They just kind of get in sync. So when they come on stage, boom, they're that tight fist that can punch the crowd, And I started thinking about, hey, maybe, tuning's kind of a shitty name, but at the same time, there's like a thought process behind it, like, getting in tune with how you're feeling, getting in tune with other people, kind of tuning yourself into, the world. Not to sound like a new age hippie stuff, because I don't believe in anything spiritual whatsoever, which is how me and Matt very much differ. But, I think that humanity, to get in tune with how they're feeling and get in tune with each other. And I thought maybe I could do that with this band when I was first, because I had the name before I had the band. Although I did suggest other names that everyone was like, no, that name sucks. I was like, oh, great, now we're stuck with tuning. But, at least we didn't steal the name from somebody else. That's important to me still. Because there's a lot of bands with names of other bands, and that's fine, whatever. Nobody really gives a shit. But so I just wanted to kind of bring that up, as we're talking about communicating and kind of, talking about our feelings and all that kind of stuff. It's the name tuning was kind of a part of that. So the name is very purposeful in that way. Kind of like how I think the name Be Well is very purposeful in their way too. And I think both bands kind of both started around the same time. I think, the elder statesmen are kind of feeling a certain kind of way and kind of wanted to kind of get it out and work it through. And even Change also has a very purposeful name, and those are like our 2 contemporary melodic hardcore bands, with the old timer guys with some younger guys in it. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool to be part of, that mindset.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked because we have Change on next month. They're coming on this. Yeah, we're pretty stoked to have them on. All right.
They sent me that record a long time before it came out, and they made me swear up and down that I wouldn't copy it for anybody. So I didn't copy it for everybody, but god damn it, didn't I have at least 10 people who sat in my car and listened to it?
Me being one of them.
Matt being one of them.
Yep. We went and saw Enforced, and after the show we just went to Jeremy's car. I'm like, yo, we're sitting here listening to this. So
it's so good.
Yeah, with Eric from Discourage, who didn't give a shit, So.
All right, so we're at the part where you guys get to promote anything you want. You can promote your stuff. You can promote other people's stuff you dig, stuff you like, stuff you think other people should get into. This is your moment. What do you got? What do you want to share?
Go ahead, Matt. You can go first.
Let's see. Okay, so I play in another band, Discourage. You guys have reviewed us before. Definitely want to say, send my love to those guys. A lot of some of my favorite bands in the scene right now are really popping out of like the Midwest. Time and Pressure is definitely a band to be looking out for. Scourge gets to go out to Prom Corps. We're gonna be out there with a bunch of friends who are out there. FUM is one of the best bands currently based out of Denver. Definitely check them out. Let's see. Loving what is coming out of a band called Bent Blue from San Diego. Another band from down there called Take It to Heart that's doing awesome stuff. Some cool podcasts. March for Life. Davin is doing just a really cool thing out there. Let's see. Next Tuesday, by the time this episode drops, we'll have already broadcasted, but we're going to be on. Jeremy and I are also going to be on Your Life in America, which is based out of community radio station in Santa Barbara. Dylan's doing some really, really cool interviews out of that. Definite huge shout out to 185 Miles South. We actually dropped a live set that we recorded in our practice space, and they hosted that for us. Dan and Zach have been longtime friends for both of us. And it's just really cool to have that partnership. For me, also shout out to Roger Camaro, who is, in the Warriors, Ill Communication. He does a lot of the tech back end for 185 Miles South, but he's sort of one of the unspoken people. And, I'm sure Jeremy will say the same thing, but, we're really thankful to Dave for getting on board, for, driving this whole thing forward. Being on Indecision Records is for me, there's Rev, there's B9, there's Discord, but honestly, I think the most important record label of my entire life is Indecision. I grew up in San Diego. They had Over My Dead Body, In Control. Those were bands that formed and shaped me, in the early 2000s. As mentioned, Count Me Out, bands like Faded Gray that we get compared to. A lot of these bands have really formed and shaped me, and I feel personally honored to be a part of that, and really grateful for what Eva does to help out with the label, Eva Hall from Power Alone. Those are just some of the things I can think of. Jeremy, what do you got?
As far as bands that I listen to a lot that are current, it's stuff different, and it's a little more extreme than the stuff we do. I listen to Cell Rot. We're from Oakland. They're fucking amazing. It goes without saying that Gulch from San Jose is fucking incredible. Some of the other bands from around here that I like, I really like Screaming Fist. God damn, there's just so many. There's a lot of cool stuff. I like Brain and all that stuff too. My friends in Scowl, all that stuff is really great. And I hope all those bands. Everybody should know about those bands anyway, because they've been doing really great stuff. But I just wanted to say that those bands. I'm an old fucking man. I'm 47 years old, and to be able to, thankfully, I've stayed connected and stayed current with hardcore, for 30 plus years now. Just because, when most people would stop caring about hardcore, I was touring so much, so I got exposed to a lot of bands, got to see a lot of newer faces and stuff, in when I was in my 30s. And now, it's amazing seeing just the insanity that some of the bands can bring forth when they play, and how good, just how effective bands are. These bands that I'm mentioning are when they play. It's a wonder to behold. that's some stuff musically. That's the stuff I listen to lately. I also listen to a lot of AFI. They've been one of my favorite bands, for 20 plus years. And I still listen to a lot of AFI. And I think sometimes it kind of pops out in our songs, especially with like jingly jangly stuff I do when I write.
That's our musical technical term is jingly jangly. So
Jingly jangly.
Anything that's not just anything that's not a power chord is a jingly.
That's a highly
yeah.
It's a jingly jangly. It's not a power chord. And so as far as like authors, like I would ask people to kind of, I'm a big fiction guy. So Ambrose Bierce, him and Edgar Allan Poe really pretty much created the format known as the short story. Poe gets more of the credit, but I like Ambrose Bierce better. So there's a lot of, he wrote like the Devil's Lexicon, and there's a really good short story collection of his. He was a very he fought in the Civil War, and he was very bitter after what he'd experienced in war. He became very cynical, and he was a very cynical writer, and his stuff is fantastic. Ambrose Bierce, good writer. Coleridge, you should read. I don't know. I'm Tolkien, Herbert, all that stuff. Like that's like the cool shit. Like that's the stuff. Like right now I'm reading Stalingrad by Rupert Matthews. I read a lot, but also on top of that, I'm also a huge science fiction fan across formats. Reading and TV and movies. So I would encourage anybody to watch Battlestar Galactica. I would encourage anybody to watch The Expanse.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and we have a lot of Battlestar Galactica references on our first two records. I dropped that for the new record because it didn't seem appropriate because of what I was writing about. But throughout, on the first record, Hanging Thread, there's a lot of references to science fiction and fiction. And then on obviously on Defining the Purpose, you have the song Adama, and the So Say We All chant at the end of Quiet Heroes is also Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined series. I'm a big fan of the 70s series as well. I'm really excited about the Dune movie that's supposed to come out at the end of the year.
Yes.
I love the David Lynch film. I love his take on it. Although it's not the greatest film, it's one of the most beautiful looking films ever filmed. The set pieces are incredible. The costume design is like unmatched in science fiction. But I'm really excited for that coming because those are some of my favorite novels. That's kind of like, Matt already shouted out podcast stuff. One I will bring up though is I grew up in Buffalo, New York. I lived there for the first 41 years of my life. And two good friends of mine, a lot of my friends are kind of intertwined with it, but my friends Mark and Chris really do it. They do the Nickel City soundtrack podcast. Try to say that, it was 10 times fast, but Nickel City soundtrack podcast. And they had me on right after Defining the Purpose, but my episode's not that great. It's okay. It's because Mark had interviewed me from an earlier podcast he did. Like we just kind of like dropped in and talked for a few minutes and dropped out. But there are some really great interviews on that. They don't just cover hardcore. They cover anything that's Buffalo music orientated. But because they're both hardcore kids, a lot of the content is hardcore. That's really great. A lot of fun. Where It Went podcast is cool. Those guys premiered our song Pacific. But besides that, that stuff's really my wheelhouse. That is my era of hardcore. When I first got into hardcore, Revelation Records ruled the day. And then a year later, it was like New Age Records ruled the day. And then 6 months after that, Victory Records ruled the next decade. So
pretty much.
So that was but Revelation, all that stuff is like my canon. That's like my foundation. And because of that, I ended up going backwards, getting all the stuff on Acclaim and Discord. So I really like listening to the Where It Went podcast.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes some of those episodes go off the rails a little bit. They're a little long, but they do a really in-depth take on a lot of records that I really, really love. So so I would encourage anybody to listen to that. And that's about all I really think of.
Awesome. So I got one more question. This is the last one. We normally ask everybody this question, but what is your guilty pleasure TV show that you really don't want anybody else to know that you watch it?
Too Hot to Handle.
Too Hot to Handle.
But yo, season 2 sucks. Like, I tried to watch it. I was like, the first season was hilarious. It was so dumb. But this one, it was just like they tried to do the same thing, and like it's so overtly dumb that I just like I didn't like anybody on the first season, but I really don't like anybody on the second season. So my pandemic activity was literally like getting on Zoom with like 12 friends, and we would just watch a TV episode and talk together. And so it was actually a really like mentally and therapeutic helpful thing. But like we watched like 90 Day Fiance, like just utter crap. We watched like everyone did. We watched Tiger King together, but I think Too Hot to Handle was the one that we really enjoyed the most as a group. But yeah, it was such a stupid show.
I
had to jump on that one.
I don't really believe in the concept of a guilty pleasure. I think that there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. That's either pleasurable or it's not. But I think as far as like cringy stuff, but I make posts about it all the time. But like as far as cringy TV that I know is cringy, but I fucking love every minute. I love Ink Master. I fucking love Ink Master. Like, I don't give a shit. Give me the best tattoo artist in the world, the worst fucking tattoo artist in the world. Throw him in a room and have the guy from Jane's Addiction like pretend like he knows what the fuck he's talking about for an hour every episode. I fucking love it. I love it. Oh my God, I fucking love it. And it makes it even better because that guy was in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So like for a briefly, like the most awful band in the fucking universe. Like it's just like this is great. Like I want to watch. I've watched that. That's one of the ones that just like, I know it's super cringy. But I'm not big on reality shows. I'm really not. Like I like scripted television, not sitcoms, but like I like drama, scripted drama and scripted science fiction and stuff like that. But the other show that would kind of, I don't know, kind of fall in that same realm in a way is I love Catfish. I fucking love Catfish. Oh, yeah. I mean, it is just like, you can't fucking believe how dumb the people are. Like dude, it's a fat guy sitting in his basement. Like the whole episode, you just think it's like they wouldn't FaceTime with me. They wouldn't call me. When they called me, it sounded like a different voice. Yeah, you're getting fucking captive. Like how do you not do a Google image search as soon as you're suspicious of somebody and find out it's a fucking porn star's picture? Like, come on, Catfish. Oh, fucking Catfish. Love it. Love it.
I'm trying to think if that was the same one where there was like this, where they were trying to figure out these long distance relationships. And I remember there's this one lady named Yolanda. I'm not sure if it's the same show or not, but she was in this relationship with this fake person named Williams, and she always called him Williams. I'm trying to remember the name of the show. It shit like pops out to me. Oh. Do either of you know the show I'm talking about? It came out last year.
I have no idea.
Oh, but it was a show like that.
I've seen every episode of Catfish, and the only ones I remember are the ones that like stand out. Like there was one episode with like a rapper who's like in jail now, like a low tier rapper, who's like a scam artist or whatever. And Neve took his fucking phone off his hand and threw it in the river. I fucking love that episode. And there was another episode where they really threw you for a catfish loop because you're thinking the whole time it's got to be fake, right? Because it's like 10 years beyond like the teen years, with teen kids with their swoopy hair and their three lip, their snake bite lip piercings and all that shit. And you're like, oh, this is fake. This is bullshit. Like, this girl is getting fucking catfished. Then the kid walks out of his parents' basement and he's like a fucking scene kid, straight, like preserved perfectly, suspended animation from like 2002. Like he just walks out and you're like, how the fuck is that person actually real in this day and age? And she wasn't being catfished. The kid was just like this shy kid who was doing stuff. And like, I was just like, it was like one of the best episodes ever. It was like also the most infuriating because you want it to be like, some guy that looks like me walking out being like, but no, it was like a legitimate like teen kid who was still a thing. It's like, it's like if Bigfoot walked out of that basement. Like that's how shocking it was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, okay. So I was actually referring to 90 Day Fiance when I was trying to think of who it was, but there was a catfish scenario on there that was so like the woman would not believe that the person she was in a relationship with was not real at all. And like my friends and I were sitting here watching this, like, dude, lady, you are deranged. You are unhinged from reality. Like, just accept it.
There's a catfish episode where a guy thinks he's in a relationship with Katy Perry. And after they reveal to him that he's never been talking to Katy Perry, he's been talking to some girl in the UK, she still doesn't believe that he wasn't in a relationship with Katy Perry. It's amazing. It's amazing. I think they even had Katy Perry on and being like, hey, I don't know who the hell you are. And he's like, oh, that's Katy. She's just playing. And her marriage at the time she was married to that comedian guy, that English
Russell
guy.
Brand.
I can't remember his name at that time. Yeah, she was married to him at the time. And he's like, oh no, that's not real. She's in a relationship with me. Like, dude. Not only are you being catfished, but you're also mentally ill. Jeez. No.
Nick, you hit me with that question, man. So
Awesome.
Yeah, you got paid double. You got paid double for that question, man.
Awesome. Well, hey, it was great having you guys on. And sorry Wiley couldn't be here too, but he says hey, and can't wait to check this interview out. So you guys got anything else you want to
yeah, I just thought it was great. Like after about 5 minutes when the ice started to get to break, we all got kind of in our got in our groove. I thought that it was really great. Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that we connected, really appreciate that you've like checked out the things that like, that we've been involved with, not just this band, but also I appreciate, what you've, checking out and reviewing Discourage and stuff like that. So it's been fun and really glad we got to be on this.
Awesome. Yeah, we seriously, like, it just seems like everything we're finding right now, music wise from the scene has just been so good. And we get sent so much stuff, and like the stuff we put on the show is the stuff we really do enjoy and really do like. And you guys just stood out. So yeah, thank you for this last album, man. It's really good.
Yeah. Thanks for
joining. I hope if you order a copy on vinyl that you get the one that looks like a big piece of bologna.
Nice.
Dude, yeah, it does. To me, it looks like if you went to like the soda fountain and just put all of the flavors in at the same time.
Nice.
That's how I describe it. So, but it works. So
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
All right, guys, I got to bail though. I got to get home to the kids. So,
all right, man.
See you guys later.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Take care.
Thanks, Mick. Really appreciate everything.
No problem. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Take care. All right.
Time for the next level.
Woo! All right. It is that time of the show where we do album reviews, and we're doing something just a little bit different. We've got one band. We've got one great album. Tell them what it is, Wiley.
Yes, we have Tuning, the band Tuning, a beacon in impossible seas. Released July 2nd of this year, 2021.
Nice.
This album has 5 tracks, right? And track 4 is an obscure Inside Out cover that was only recorded live by Inside Out.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, good stuff.
Should I keep going?
Yeah.
The band is from the Bay Area, right? And
Yeah.
Concord, California.
That's right.
Tuning is on Indecision Records, formerly on Unity Worldwide.
Right.
This new EP was released on vinyl, limited to 200, mystery color only, no test presses, no variants. But I got one, and I've seen online other people got them. People just get weird colors, right? That's the mystery color
Right.
thing.
Yes, and I'm trying to get the bologna colored one. I guess there's one that looks like
Yeah.
a piece of bologna, and so
What's the that label posted it? They have a bologna one. The label that has Bitter Truth on them.
that's Patient Zero.
Yeah, Patient Zero Records. They got a bologna colored one.
Nice. I'm hoping to get one too.
The band had 3 releases, right?
Yes.
The Hanging Thread on Unity Worldwide in 2019, Defining the Purpose on Indecision in 2020, and a Beacon. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say we reviewed that one a couple episodes back. Yeah,
we sure did. A Beacon and Impossible Seas on Indecision of this year, 2021. Yeah.
So, you want me to you want me to talk about it first? Or you want to talk about it first?
No, I want you, man.
You want me to? All right. So, I already like this band.
Yes.
And I like the band that Matt, the guitar player for Tuning, he plays in another band called Discourage. I like them a lot as well. But there's something about Tuning, and we talked about it a little bit in the review of the last album, Defining the Purpose, the emotion behind the songs and the lyrics and the push. And the interesting thing that the singer brought up is in the first few albums, there's actually references to Battlestar Galactica. So I got to go back and listen to those.
Beats, Bears, and Battlestar Galactica.
So I got to go back and listen and catch some of those songs. But when we talked about this album, he brought up the fact that everything that happened in 2020 and some of the things that were happening before, just the raw emotion all came out when they finally got back together to record this album. So for me, when that first track kicks in, one, it reminds me of some old school 90s hardcore. It's reminiscent of Shylud to me, and Strong Arm, and just the rhythm and everything it kicks in. But man, the vocals, there's something about it that just, it's definitely a 90s feel, but there's just so much raw emotion behind some of these songs. Like, you feel like the dude is puking these lyrics out. And I don't mean that to be gross. It's just like, you just feel the raw emotion behind it. He's just getting them out there to where you can hear it, feel it. And it's just an intense record to me. I love the first song, which is, I think is just, is the first song just called Reprise? Is that what it is?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Let's look it up. I think so. Or intro or whatever. Tuning.
Yeah, it's Reprise. Yeah, that song, just the rhythm when it kicks in, I'm like, oh, I just want to spin kick somebody, and I can't even spin kick.
What's the band Placeholder? Their album came out the exact same day, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I was bouncing back and forth from both those records.
Yeah.
For like 3 days straight, I was just listening to both of them. They're both really good records.
Yeah. I spent, it was last Friday. I spent pretty much the whole day just listening to this EP, and I just love it. And then being able to sit and chat with them and talk about, the emotion behind all these songs just made it even, listening to it now just makes it even better, takes it over the top. So for me, the song Reprise is killer, and then the song Pacific is another song that is just really good one.
That's the last song.
Yeah, those two. So
which one you want to drop?
I want to drop Reprise just because of that intro is just so nasty. Love it.
Let's do it. Reprise. Right. Drop it.
Boom.
You said boom.
I said boom.
I give this album 4.5 cups of coffee out of 5 cups of coffee. Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. I'd do that too. Yeah.
So I wrote the question out that why didn't they put it on a 7-inch?
Right.
And you and I were kind of texting back and forth. But to me, if you know you're not going to do a 7-inch and you're doing 5 songs, just give us some more. Give us one more, dude. Come on. Really? You're going to drop 5 songs for us and you know you're doing a 12-inch? I know you got time to do another song. I think if they would have done one more hard-hitting song to kind of even out the side, I don't know. I think that would have made it a complete solid record for me. So to me, it's nothing tone-wise there's no bad songwriting. I just want a little bit more content, just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. That you gave them a full 5 cups of coffee. A little bit more content. All right.
Jerks. No, I'm just kidding. It has that 90s youth crew kind of edge to it.
Yeah.
With a great recording to make this album a perfect mix of that nostalgia kind of 90s hardcore feel, mixed with some more newer hardcore with mixed with that kind of change feel.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It brought me back. It did. It brought me back. And also at the same time, it was something new and fresh. So for that, I dig it. I like this 5-track EP. I really wish it was longer. I really do. Come on, guys, give me more content. The record before was like a full length, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. I understand sometimes things don't work out, especially during COVID. We did a record too in 2-minute minor that I wish we could have put more time into. The Stand for Something or Fall for Anything.
Yeah.
We kind of had to do a couple covers on there with a few originals. So I get it. That stuff happens, especially during COVID. I get it. But I super dig the vocal tone and delivery a lot.
Yes.
On the album, a lot. I love the vocals. I love how the album kicks in with the heavy drums and guitar. And then the second guitar comes in with a sick melody part. That's cool.
Right.
I like how it makes it it made me like shake my head. Like, yeah, like, you know, in agreement to what's going on kind of.
Right.
That
since you're talking about that song, listen,
it's a smart opener for sure.
It is a smart opener. And I just remember the first time I heard that, I was like, this is a song that when I was younger and skinnier and able to move a lot more, this would be that song that I would totally hang out on the stage, like off to the side. Like I'd be,
You'd be ripping your skinny jeans on this one.
No, I never wore skinny jeans, but I would be hanging off on the side. And then when it came to this part in the song where the guitar slides in, I would totally run and stage dive.
Sure. Yeah.
I totally, the funny thing is it just reminded me that when 6 Feet Deep played Cornerstone one year, I was on stage with the guys in Disciple X, and we were all hanging out. And I just there was one song that 6 Feet Deep did it. And I said, if there was ever a chance on a larger stage, I'm going to stage dive at that moment. And I just remember I was joking around with Dan from Disciple, and we were all joking around. He's like, dude, you got to do it. And he's totally pumped me up and was just rubbing my shoulders. And he's like, get ready, dude, get ready, dude. And then like that part came, he totally pushed me, and I ran and I wiped out like 8 people.
You just
like nobody caught me. I just wiped people out. And I know I made Matt Traxler, like he just about busted a gut. Like couldn't play after that because I totally wiped people out. But yeah, so it kind of has that feel like I totally want to stage dive or
yeah.
Roundhouse.
It almost makes you feel like you're at a Gorilla Biscuit show that's just like packed.
Yes.
Like that kind of energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love the guitar slide into that 90s hardcore bliss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The gang vocals on this record kept me hooked for sure. I think my favorite tracks are the first song, Reprise, which is what you picked, right?
Yeah.
And the song Pacific. I love the drive. I love the drive of the first track and how catchy the last track is. Like, that's what I love about both those. I was going to pick Reprise as mine to drop, but I think I like them equally. So let's pick Pacific. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's drop that.
Let's drop it now.
All right. So we talked about 90s hardcore bliss. This is the crazy thing about this. We talking to these guys in this album. The singer messaged me after the interview and said, "Hey, where do you live?" And I said, I live in
Sesame Street.
Yeah, Sesame Street. No, I live in Parkersburg, Virginia. And he was like, "Hey, and one of the first bands I was in, their first show was in Parkersburg. It was in the wintertime. It was in 94. And so we start talking. And I'm like, you played at the Sundowner, which was like a drive-in theater that got turned into a flea market / we had shows in the warehouse." And then we start talking more and we find like he has the flyer, and the flyer comes up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know the guys that put on that show. We were just talking about that last year, and I found the conversation that we were having in Messenger. And so I was copying and pasting that conversation to him. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember, because this band was supposed to play, but it snowed too bad and they couldn't be there. So it's just small world.
For sure. Especially when you live on Sesame Street.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
I'm dumb. I'm sorry.
So.
No, that is pretty crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
It would have been crazier if Zayo played and you would have played the show.
I know. And the thing was like, did we play that show? And then I went back, and when he showed the flyer, I was like, no, but I had like all the Sundowner shows I went to that was 94. So it would have been out of high school, almost probably turned 19, going to all these shows locally. So yeah. So that's crazy.
Cool beans.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1, no touching of the hair or face. Of course. And that's it!
All right. Thanks for sticking it out with us one more time. Remember, go like us on
Yes, Facebook.
Go like us on Facebook and Instagram, and all the links are going to be posted in the show notes, so you can check out everything that you want to grab, get, and listen to for yourself. And also, hey, something that we just added, every month on the links, we'll have a special Spotify playlist of the bands that we talk about there on the show. So that's great.
I actually went and listened to that.
It's good stuff. I thought, what's a way we can give an easy way for listeners to check out what we're talking about, what to listen to, even stuff that we can kind of come up and we're like, oh man, this is good. We got to drop this before our next episode. It'll all be in that playlist. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I did notice it's all bands that we mention even on the show.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was some bands that we mentioned that you edited out, but you still kept on the show, which I thought was kind of cool. I was like, some people are going to listen to the podcast and listen to the playlist and be like, wait, they didn't talk about that band. But it was edited out.
It was gone.
Well, we hope you like this new episode. Go and click on all the links and support the coffee companies, the band tuning, because they have a limited 12-inch record available.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Don't they?
They
still?
do.
It's not sold out, is it?
No, it's not sold out, because I actually got one after we had our chat. So, yeah. Because I thought they were gone, but they still had some left. So, yeah. But thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the listeners for your support. You keep Coffee and Hardcore going, and your listens and your likes and your share. All of that helps us keep putting out all this great content. Because, listen, we have got some really killer bands coming up in the next few shows.
We do. We got like the whole rest of the year planned.
Yes, it's pretty insane who we got coming up. So I'm pretty excited about that.
We are out of here. Goodbye for now until next month. Mike, drop that battle royale. Coffee and Hardcore out of here. Boom, drop the mic like this, Nick.
Coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, boom it on. Coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore. Do it right. We got the double, we got the juice, we got the joke, we got the reviews, we got the gold from you out the border. If you like the back, you better support them. Coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, boom it on. Coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore.